Come on, Pop. Come on, Ruby. Ruby, come on. Come on, girl. Okay. What's up? I hope that's the Ron that's been criticizing me, because I would very much like to have a conversation with Ron. I kind of like critics, if you can't tell. I'm a glutton for punishment. Oh my goodness, what a day it's been. I don't know when I'm going to stop being a victim on these pro-Israel lives. What a day. Yeah, Ron says you're exposed for real. Yeah, that's what a lot of people are saying, Ron. They seem to think they have my number. We'll see how it all plays out. I try to take it all in good sport, good fun. But I know that Robert Callahan, man, I'll tell you what. It's funny because I did a little investigating on that. Just out of curiosity, I wanted to know more about the person because they were obviously gunning for me. So I called around in his hometown of Waco, Texas. Just out of curiosity, I called maybe 4 private investigators who tend to know the lawyers, and I called a few other law firms. And I talked to 6 people over the course of a few days. And to a T, oh my God, man, he is not a very well-liked guy in town, let's put it that way. So I even talked to a judge, because I have a friend of a friend who knew the judge down there. Anyway, Robert's a very unpleasant guy, and I don't like to talk about people. He's the kind of guy, he's the only person on TikTok who, on a panel, I won't be anywhere near. I think he's that bad of a guy. But anyway, it is what it is. So, hey. Yeah, if somebody said those people were rude to you earlier, listen, when I go into an Israeli, I expect the absolute worst. Like, I've had situations where I come up, I'm muted, and all they do is bash me, and eventually I just jump down. I've had other ones, and by the way, today, actually, to the credit of the host, he was very nice to bring me up, and he let us have a conversation for a period of time. It almost always devolves into some sort of personal attack, unfortunately. But there was a period of time today where we had a pretty good conversation going. I got to talk to somebody named Rudy, who goes by the Moderate Democrat. And, it's weird. I disagree with Rudy on the Israel-Palestine issue. But like anybody else, I try not to compartmentalize people. And, Rudy has some other conversations that I've enjoyed. So I'll put it this way. I think he's an entertaining guy to listen to. I like he's got a unique style that I kind of appreciate, even though I don't agree with his position on Israel-Palestine. He says some things sometimes, and it's just, listen, a lot of people think what like Rudy does. It's not unusual. A lot of Americans see it from that point of view. And it's like the Dr. Phil point of view. I think when it comes down to it, Rudy is, and this is not bashing him, people see that anything that is close to the word T word, they've been conditioned that the T word automatically negates anything that comes after that word. In other words, if a group does something that they categorize as a T word activity, then there's no other conversation to be had. It's like, well, that's just so bad that there's no, there can be no justification for said behavior. Now, don't get me wrong. It doesn't mean I support groups who use tactics that are condemnable. I make that very clear. I don't want to see any civilians get hurt ever. And a lot of that happened on 10/7. But I got to tell you, and this gets me in a lot of trouble, and I've made videos about this, and I talked about it today, and it makes people absolutely insane. And I understand, listen, if I were on their side of the issue and I perceived it the way that they do, I'd probably get angry about this. So I think what people have been conditioned to do is, regardless of the veracity, the truthfulness of something, if it's repeated over and over again, and it's told to a group of people that this happened to our people, they were violated to this extent, all these horrific atrocities happened for sure, no questions asked, all the evidence is in place. Even if nobody's seen the evidence themselves, they'll take that to mean that they believe somebody has, and therefore it's lock solid, there's no questions. And in essence, it creates an impenetrable barrier where they can't even bring themselves to the place where questions can be asked, because they feel like it's so incredibly insensitive to the victims that they perceive to have been harmed, which makes sense. And they probably think that anybody who does raise those questions are just incredibly insensitive and like deniers, almost like HCOS deniers, right? I understand that. I understand that point. But for those of us who aren't directly involved, I don't have a relationship with the Israeli government or the people or the military. I don't have any relationships that are pro-Israel in my life. I do have some friends that are Jewish who I think are great, but they have different views on Israel. And I don't know anybody from Palestine that I'm like close with. I don't have a relationship. I'm certainly not Palestinian or Arab. I'm just a white guy from America who was raised Christian. So I really have no involvement per se. But I get accused of being not being objective. The only reason that I support the side that I do is not because I have an affinity for people who are of Palestinian descent, although I think they're perfectly nice, the ones that I've met. It's because of the variables involved. And you can go back and forth all day long about, response to this, response to that. But if you dial that back, if you just take that little, lily pad all the way back to 1948, it is irrefutable. And let's face it, I mean, one group of people got something that they wanted because they lobbied for it. They did whatever backdoor deals they had to do. And they got an ethno-state carved out of a region that was a majority of Arab people. They had a Jewish ethno-state in a region that was mostly Arab, right? That's a pretty phenomenal accomplishment. And yes, it provided benefits for people who were Jewish as a homeland, which is a good thing. I think all of us should be for a safe place for people to be, have a place of their own identity, their own, way of life, whatever. Cool. But then you have to look at what harm to whom, right? And how do you justify, it wasn't just like this empty space that people just kind of took over. Like it wasn't like that. There were people that lived there. And they knew going in it was going to be very, very tumultuous and very difficult to cleanse the territory as much as was necessary of people who would resist these changes. And I think it's fair to acknowledge that. Anybody who's not going to acknowledge that reality is being disingenuous. Whichever side you want to be on, you have to, if you don't, this is the one thing about this whole thing that I think people don't realize. If you don't believe this has been disruptive and chaotic, and that these proposed changes haven't caused a lot of strife and death and suffering and conflict, you're just not being real. And this was all done voluntarily. This wasn't something that had to happen. This was something that was intentionally kind of drummed up and lobbied for by a group of people from Europe who did not believe in God, but sort of used the concept of Judaism and Jewish identity to lobby for a separate state that was carved out of territory that had been shared by Jews, Arabs, and Christians for a long period of time. That's what happened. So in trying to have conversations with people about this, they can only see it from one vantage point. They see it from the vantage point of, my team has this, that's what matters, everything else can go to hell that doesn't fit with that narrative. That's understandable. But it doesn't make it objective or realistic or even reasonable. And somebody earlier today, and this is, I'm not going to say her name, she was an older female, and I understand, listen, she's had people that were directly affected supposedly by either the hostage situation or the people that were hurt or harmed on 10/7 or maybe something else. She's very, very sensitive to these issues, rightly so. But the way she comported herself on the live and the way it finished was very indicative of how she really believes, what she really believes, or where she sees herself vis-a-vis others. And the thing that I found most troubling is that she believes that anyone who disagrees with her point of view is doing it for malicious reasons, and that they're spreading misinformation because it doesn't comport with her views. And anybody who challenges her views are lesser than. And the way things turned out at the end, which was sad, she kept interrupting and stepping over people and talking over people and demanding that she have a chance to do all that kind of behavior, which is typical, unfortunately, pro-Israeli behavior on these lives. It's just, I don't know why it's such a standard way of doing things, but I like to sit there on mute and wait until somebody acknowledges me or asks a question, and then I hopefully come in and share my views and then land the plane and let that. That's not how it was working. It was difficult because, and listen, I'm not crying about this, because when you go on a panel and you have 6 or 7 other people who see things differently, it's going to go this way to some extent, right? That's not a big deal. But when somebody really does it in an over-the-top way where they start talking down to you, they're condescending, and the words themselves went like this, which is just kind of funny and indicative of a thought process. It revealed to the audience and to myself what's really in this person's head. She said, "You should be bowing down to me, and you are fortunate to be breathing the same air as me." That's what the person said. Now, if that's not the concept of supremacy, I don't know what is. And then there was one person on the panel who's a guy, like I told you, Rudy, the moderate Democrat, and he was trying to adjudicate what I would call reason or rationality. So they would ask me a question, do you support the H group? I'd say, no, I'm not a supporter. It's not a group that I particularly like wave the flag for. It's not my job to say if they should be supported or not, or whether their response on 10/7 was reasonable. That's for Palestinians to decide. That's not my place. But she was saying that I must, because I'm critical of some of the Israeli government, I must be a T supporter. I must support. And Rudy asked me directly. He says, "Do you support the H group?" And I said, "No." And then she starts going off about Hezbollah and other groups that she hates and other countries that she's. And Rudy tried to say, "Hey, dude," he just answered you and he said, "No." Like, what's the deal here? Anyway, that kind of went on and on like that. So this is the absolute folly that it is to try to speak with people who have it all figured out already. And the nice thing about people who are humble and who aren't married to their views is they actually listen and they take in information. Now, they accuse me of basically spreading lies. If there's information that I'm missing out on, that I'm not getting clearly, I always invite somebody to share it with me because I don't want to be putting out wrong information knowingly. If I get something wrong, I'll admit it. And if it's egregious enough, I'll apologize for it. So let's take for example, what happened on 10/7 as far as some of these more egregious allegations. So this guy named Porfirio Rubesa, I think his name is, very, very, strong advocate for Israel, thinks that I'm completely on the wrong side of this. Fair enough. He brought to my attention some things that I thought were valid. He brought to my attention some conclusions that he had about the UN report about the female stuff on 10/7. And he also pointed me to a summary that somebody on the UN did related to that report. And in fairness, the way she phrased their summary, if indeed it's valid, I'm guessing it is that there were incidents of SA that they felt were credible on 10/7. The question that I raised, though, and I'm still curious about is, was it simply a few bad apples that just took advantage of the circumstances and did something they shouldn't have done according to their religion or even what their instructions were? Or were there specific instructions or, again, intent by the leadership to go into to Israel from Gaza and do some things that were horrific and horrendous? And if the answer is yes, if the leadership specifically directed its militant force to do those things, then that's a big, big deal. But my understanding is, and again, I'm just using my best judgment, it could be wrong. But I listened to the leadership as they discussed the reason behind the operation, which was called Al-Aqsa Flood. I don't know if you saw it, but about several days into this, they issued a public statement. It was sort of just two men standing by while one spoke. And he spoke relatively good English, by the way. I don't know his name. But he said the purpose behind the operation was to engage soldiers, to destroy as many as they could, to gain intelligence by raiding outposts, which they did gather some very important intelligence about collaborators inside of Gaza, which I'm sure wasn't a good day for the collaborators. And then they also, unfortunately, whether it was the individual militants or civilians that poured out too and grabbed a weapon when somebody fell, who may have done some of these things, who knows? And then you have the IDF response, a lot of that confusion, the Hannibal Directive, blah, blah, blah. But it's safe to say that there were plenty of things that were done by the H group and members that were militants that were directly against civilians. I have videos of it, which unfortunately are pretty graphic. And I've seen it, not all of it, but there's a lot of evidence that many atrocities were committed by the H group. Now, let's get into some of the more extensive or egregious ones. And again, there's a little bit of murkiness about this. So we heard about babies in ovens. I have no evidence to support that one. And people have told me they have lock, stock, and barrel evidence. It's guaranteed it's a lock. I'll send it to you. Great, send it to me. Nothing. Crickets. They send me to a Telegram thread. I go through every video, like 289 or 300 videos. It took me 6 hours. Nothing. All the same stuff I've already seen, just repackaged in different order. Some of the videos were shown like 7 to 10 times in the thread. Some of the stuff was from Syria or from the Balkans, like ridiculous shit that had nothing to do with Israel-Palestine, because I've seen these videos before. So anyway, they must think I'm stupid or something, because I'm happy to look at evidence. And as I've told the audience before, if something is evidentiary and supports claims, I'm going to tell you flat out. I don't care who it pisses off. I'm going to be truthful. But I, as an individual, I'm not going to be able to obtain everything. So to some extent, we have to trust some third parties that investigate this. And what else do we have to work with? So if they do say that they found credible evidence, then I think it's fair for us to take them at their word. The question is, was it used as an extensive, pervasive tool of the operation? So let's say there were seven, let's just say for argument's sake, to pick a number out of that, let's say there were 7 instances of SA, I'm just guessing, I've only seen evidence of maybe one that I really believe was truthful, where I heard the direct testimony in that documentary, Screams Before the Silence, which I recommend people watch. You can decide for yourself what you think of it. Again, I've seen a lot of Israeli propaganda over my years, and it's hard for people to think that why would a filmmaker document a series of alleged crimes and have there be any obfuscation that wasn't, why would people make their testimony false, right? That's a good question. Israel is incredibly sophisticated when it comes to its formal produced propaganda. It's the best in the world by far. Now, I can't say for sure that my impression about some of the allegations there being unsubstantiated and the conversations around it not feeling credible to me, but they could all be, right? Everything they said in the documentary could be true, in fairness, right? We have to be fair. But when somebody says you deny everything because you have questions that you have unsubstantiated claims, right? That's not denying it, especially if you make it clear that there's no way that I can deny it. But the mere fact that you have some doubts or hesitation to embrace it in its entirety, they somehow think that you're doing it from a place of being mean-spirited or insensitive or something like that. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, in the video that I made about this, I said specifically any and all atrocities that did occur should be completely and totally called out for war crimes and, if necessary, prosecuted as such. Because it's disgusting. If you take advantage of a woman in a period of war and do something to assault her, I don't know what to say. I think that's about as low as it gets. If you're doing something horrible to infants or very young children, I think that's very low. But I don't believe in my heart, as far as I understand it, that, first of all, people who practice Islam do those things because they're specifically forbidden by their religion. And most Palestinians, let's face it, these are highly religious people, even more so than the average Palestinian. These are those that believe in following the tenets of some sort of Sharia as a way of living one's life. So there's a matter of discipline and respect for your book and for your prophet and for your God. And to do these things is like haram, like way off the base. You'll absolutely not make it into heaven. You're never going to have a good afterlife. You're going to be completely condemned by doing something like this. So it just doesn't seem to fit in, but it's possible. I do highly doubt that it was systemic and directed for management and leadership. That just doesn't make sense to me. Why would they say, go do this to these people? I do believe that some people probably have a lot of hatred for people that have settled into the country just because of the dynamics of the fact that there's been a huge change that they don't like about the relationships between the parties and the land. And they may have hate in their heart towards the people in general as a part of that, not necessarily because they're Jewish, but just because it's part of the thing that has them so angry and upset along with their circumstances. And that's understandable, but it's not fair necessarily to take it out on the average civilian, right? Because they may be people who don't want to see, they may want to see changes politically to some extent. You don't know. So to hurt them without knowing what's in their heart, I think is really bad. But some people may not feel that way. They may feel like they're justified. I don't know. I don't know what the hell was going through people's heads. But it would be great if we had clarity, like if there was one honest third-party documentary that just laid the whole thing out for us and we knew exactly what happened, right? And then I would speak to it exactly like, if somebody objectively observed this and can do it. I don't know if we're ever going to get that. Everyone accuses the other side of lying. It's hard to take the Israelis' word for anything because of how they behave, but it could be all true. It's sometimes people think they're lying about the numbers of people that have died by the Gaza Health Ministry. I don't know, man. I'm confused about some of this stuff. But I do know that when you have a third-party international entity that does the investigating, it tends to have more credibility, right? Because it's not just one side or the other. So we have different human rights groups and different aid entities in Gaza that are corroborating the numbers that are being reported by the Gaza Health Ministry. In addition, we have evidence from prior conflicts that when the Israelis have come into Gaza to do their massive military incursions, the numbers of injuries and deaths reported by the Gaza Health Ministry have been spot on. So the question is, why would this situation be drastically different? Why would they, quote unquote, lie about it when you have independent groups that don't seem to have a bias? They're just trying to help humanitarian purposes to corroborate the numbers, and yet they're still refuted by the Israelis as propagandistic, or Hamas is lying, or whatever you want to call it. Now, we don't know how many of them are militants. That could play a role. I know the number is probably between 34 and 36,000, and that's what I've heard. But there could be anomalies. It's possible, just like anything's possible. So I would hope that the numbers aren't being misreported, because just like with the atrocities of 10/7, I would hope the Israelis are not enhancing what actually did happen, because what did happen that I've observed is bad enough, I think, to create necessary outrage in your public. But what I think could be in play, it's possible, I'm not saying it is, is that there's I was going to read a definition of this, but I never got a chance to speak to it because the people on the live kind of shut me up. But I was going to read a definition of something called atrocity propaganda. In fact, let me see if I can pull it up right now. Atrocity propaganda is a real thing. It is, let's see if I can find it here. I pulled up a lot of stuff earlier today. Here we go. Okay, this is from Wikipedia. Not that this is a great source, but this is definitional, not anything about, narrative. Okay, atrocity propaganda is the spreading of information about the crimes committed by an enemy, which can be factual, but often includes or features deliberate fabrications or exaggerations. This can involve photographs, videos, illustrations, interviews, or other forms of information presenting or reporting. So, Frank Luntz. If you don't know who Frank Luntz is, he's like a consultant, a linguistic consultant to political campaigns, specifically Republicans. And he's a master of recrafting and repackaging language to have it have a different impact. So he was consulted by the Israeli government when this whole thing first kicked off. And they asked him, what are the things that are going to create the most impact on the public as far as how we discuss this, how we frame what happened? And they were advised that the public will be most outraged if the atrocities involved young kids, like babies, or atrocities against women. So what did we hear pouring out of this? Graping, mutilation, a pregnant mother having XYZ removed, blah, blah, blah. And of course, we're hearing these things, and we heard the 40 babies was the first thing that was amplified and repeated over and over. And the world was like, oh my God, like this is absolutely horrific. What kind of barbarians could even think of doing this, much less actually do it? Right? The idea is to paint a picture. Now, again, it could all be true. We know the 40 babies thing was crazy, but some of these other things could be true. But if it is a part of an effort to create atrocity propaganda, then it would make sense that some of these more egregious allegations are made and levied against the group to dehumanize them, to create the idea that they're total barbarians that just have to be eliminated because there's no working with these people, et cetera, et cetera. So to whatever extent those variables are intertwined, I don't know for sure. But we do know from people like Colonel Lawrence Wilkerson and others that his experience with the Israeli government and with their propaganda system was one that, in his words, the Israelis are inveterate liars. You can't believe a single word that comes out of Jerusalem, is what he said. Meaning that these people, there's just no straightforwardness about them. They tend to use the tool of misinformation to their advantage in all circumstances, regardless of what you and I would consider to be a conscience of, right or wrong. And in their minds, the only thing that's right is what serves their agenda, and everything else is just something that doesn't. And if that means you have to fabricate something, oh well. There's sort of no conscience around it. It's a different way of being. So we don't know for sure. Someone in the comments said they've also been widespreadly, in a widespread fashion, using the word anti-Semitism to cover anything and everything, which is not a new practice, but it's reached a whole new level of absurdity where the word really is losing its meaning. When you apply something to everything, it becomes empty. And so now they're putting together legislation in the U.S. Congress, which actually passed the House of Representatives, that says if you receive government funding, like a educational institution, and somebody on your staff, your administration, your faculty, or your students, or a student group expresses things that are critical of Israel, or other versions of criticizing the behavior of Israel, that is considered anti-Semitism, and therefore the public funding that usually would go to the institution can be withheld or canceled. Now, that's not directly putting somebody in jail. You're not going to go to jail for saying something. But what you could do is be punished by your university, and they may put rules in place that stifle the speech, which, by the way, is blatantly unconstitutional. But they may do it on the basis of you're harming the institution's ability to function based on the flow of funds, and therefore, by accepting the application to join the school, if you get an offer to go there, you must agree to provisions A, B, and C. A lot of this stuff is going to be adjudicated in court if this stuff passes. It's only been through the House. But you hear the example. So that's a very effective tool to chill speech. There are anti-BDS laws, boycott, divest, sanction laws. If you try to talk about, promote, or agree with, or participate in boycott, sanction, divestment, and sanction activities against Israel, and you're in the state of Texas, if you're doing $100,000 or more money in business with the government, they can cancel your contract. Just boom, done. You said something political about this issue, done. That's in 37 states now. 37 states have provisions that if you criticize Israel and you promote boycott, divest, and sanction, or even allude to it, you can lose all your business with the state. Now, who in the world made Israel in charge of government contracting? Why is it that somebody has influence over state governments and gets them to put this sort of choking provision in place to stifle free speech? We should be able to buy whatever we want to buy. If we don't like how a government behaves, we should be able to talk about the fact that we don't want to buy SodaStream that comes out of the West Bank, if you don't know, for example. Anyway, yeah, I have not been looking at the comments enough. Sorry about that. Anyway, and if there's a says, look at the comments are exciting. The bottom feeders like whatever. If people are here to be critical, that's fine. You do what you got to do. Everybody's got to take that on the chin. The thing I like to do is keep the comments on topic. Anybody can get into a third grade spitting match and start calling people names or disparaging them personally. And usually in debates or conversations about serious subjects, when someone actually has to, relegate to that level, when they start to go to that level, they have no argument. And so instead of having a substantive argument that can, something that can overcome what's being spoken about, it ends up being something where it devolves into a childish back and forth about name calling. So for those of you engaging in that, be better. Be your best self. The dog's whining, so I may have to take her out to go to the bathroom. Let me just throw on a pair of shoes and a shirt. So anyway, let's bring up the guest. I've talked a lot as usual. We have is that the name? Hello?
Hello, Chief.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask you a hypothetical question.
Okay.
Yeah. So imagine yourself, you have a neighbor which has a quarrel with you about your house. And this neighbor used to shoot on your window. So
Used to shoot out my windows?
Yeah, because he thinks that you have stolen his house. So
Okay.
you've put bulletproof windows. Sometimes he hits your dog or your children. And one day, this neighbor comes into your house when you're asleep, rapes your wife, kidnaps your children.
You got to use TikTok friendly language. You can say
Sorry, Chip. Okay, I'll try to. So he takes.
I got your point. He does some bad things.
Yeah. Wait a second. So he makes something not that nice to your wife. He takes with your children, and he hides behind his own wife and his own children, and keeps shooting on your house.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. What would you do? Besides that he shoots with normal guns, he has RPG, which doesn't, which hits everything in a radius of 10 kilometers. And
My
you
question is,
cannot intercept it.
here's the question. What did I do to him before he did what he did to me, if anything? Did I do anything or nothing?
No. I mean, so what would be your reaction? How would you? So
It depends
you have to.
Hold on.
Yeah?
Let me ask you this question. This is a fair question. So if this happened out of the blue and I had done nothing to the person and they did it for no reason whatsoever,
No. For reason, for nothing. He thinks so. You think otherwise. So that's what happened. So
I just asked you.
you're absolutely sure that you have full right to this house and this person.
Hold on. Whoa. You're ignoring my question. Let me just be clear. I'll put you back off mute. Did I do anything under this situation you're talking about, this framework you're creating? Did I do anything to this person prior to the things you're describing that he's doing to me, my family, etc.? That's what I have to know. That's really important to know. That's called the context. Are you there? I don't know what's going on with your mic. The context is so important in these situations because without that, it's hard to make a valid response. Anyway, I'm not sure which party you're referring to, whether you're talking about what the H group did or stuff that the IDF has done. But either way, it's important to know who did what to whom first, because I like to say the story of Jane and John. There's a couple that and You hear this story that Jane, from a friend, you hear that Jane took a kitchen knife and stabbed John in the shoulder, and you're like, oh my God, that's terrible. And you're like, what's wrong with Jane? Was she drinking, or was she doing drugs? What's wrong with this woman? And then a week later, you run into another friend and said, did you hear about John and Jane? And you're like, yeah, I heard Jane stabbed John. What's up with that? He goes, oh, no. John was drinking the whole night and he was beating on her. And so to get out of the kitchen, she grabbed a knife and got him in the shoulder. So
Yeah, I understand your point. There is no.
that's in other words, that's a whole different deal. So that's why I need to know what John did, if anything. If not, then Jane's the crazy one. So what happened with John?
Yeah. So what happened to John? So you are absolutely sure that you have full right to this house, and he is absolutely sure that you've stolen this house from him. You are 100% sure that you have full right to this house, and he, for some reason, thinks that you have stolen this house from him.
Did you have a question? Is there a question?
I'm just clarification. So you think that you have full right for this house. It was belonging to your parents. You have bought it 10 times, and he thinks that you've stolen from him.
Can you get to the question, because it's been a little bit long-winded?
I'll get to the question. My question is: so he shoots on your house. You put your bulletproof windows. He's do something to your wife. He takes your children. He hides behind his children and his wife. He continues shooting on your house with RPG and a light weapon. So what would you do? So number one, you just left your house and leave your wife and your children, and you go to another land. Number two, you retreat.
I'm going to ask you very nicely. You've gone on and on and on. Can you just, what are you trying to get at with this example, and what would you like me to respond to? Because you've gone enough down that road. What would you like me to do, if anything? I think the audience is sort of also asking for the same sort of thing, because lay out like that, we get the point.
Reaction to this. What would you do? Is he immune? Should you retreat? Should you leave him your house?
Well, again, I'm not really clear on who was there first. What, if anything, had been done to the person?
There is no first. It goes for ages.
Yeah, I'm not really clear on what I'm supposed to answer given the way you've laid it out. So I don't.
Yeah, I'm describing a situation. Somebody comes into your house because he has claims on your house. He has claims on your wife, on your children. He shoots on your house.
Why does he have claims? What's his reasoning?
It doesn't matter. You have enough claims. It doesn't matter. There are a lot of crazy people that thinks that Earth is flat.
Well, I'm trying to be helpful and trying to help frame this, but I really don't understand where you're going with it. So why don't you just tell us what you think the point is of this, or what you think is the right thing to do?
Okay. I'll give my theory.
Hold on. And more importantly, how the hell does it relate to what's going on right now? Because you have me confused as to which side you're pointing to, quite frankly. I'm not intentionally so, just not really clear on what you're talking about.
Who is benefiting from it? Do you think that Palestinians are benefiting from this situation?
Well, there's a mix. So in other words, there's a lot of suffering going on in terms of loss of life, destruction of property, disruption of society. I think the leadership that's involved in the militant movement might make the argument that it's a sacrifice of short-term pain
I understand, but
for a longer-term solution.
Yeah, do you think that Palestinian people win from this? What's going on now?
What might they win? Well, that history will determine that. The question would be, given that their plight in the past was relatively not widely known, that many people weren't fully aware of what the Israeli government and military have been doing in this conflict for a long time, one could make the argument that the changes that have happened, as horrific as they've been to both sides, have served a bigger cause for the Palestinians of creating more
Okay,
awareness of both of those.
let me rephrase it. When Hamas attacked Israel, did they know that Israel will come back and flatten Gaza?
They probably assumed it was going to be a very, very, very strong and disproportionate response. Yep.
Yeah, cool. So, did Israel benefit from this war?
Well, it depends on when you say the nation state or the leadership or those who have certain desires, because they're not always the same thing.
Both.
I would
Both.
argue that the least safe place to be right now for a Jewish person is inside of Israel because of the conflict. However, if you're somebody who's among the hardliners
Who is
who are
benefiting
hoping
from
that
it?
you got to let me finish. You got to let me finish. If you're a hardliner and you're a hardcore Zionist and you want to see Eretz Israel and the movement towards that, then this has been great because you've been able to do a much faster incursion into Gaza, flatten it, destroy the ability for people to live there, and have a chance to push people out possibly if you continue your assault, as well as a sort of a safety way to go into the West Bank and do more and more of what you've been doing on a slow pace at a steadier rate because of the diversion to Gaza.
This is conspiracy theory that contradicts all the latest behavior of Israel government.
Why is
So,
it conspiratorial?
because you suppose that losing of like more than 1,000 citizens, those atrocities was conspired by Israeli government. It's like the same theory that says that 11 something 9 something 11 in America was conspired by Americans. It's the same way.
Well,
So
everything's within the range of possibility. I don't know what the likelihood is, but just let's run it out for a second. Let's talk
yeah,
this
so
out.
let's
No, come on, wait a second. You made an allegation that I was doing things in a conspiratorial way. So let me be clear.
yeah.
So it's possible that it was a complete accident. It's possible. But there have been soldiers that served in the IDF that independently said on video that because of the nature of how the border is secured and monitored, that in their words, not mine, there's no way possible that those things could. It was breached in 13 different places, not one. So they've said there's no way in the world that could have happened by accident. That the staffing was purposely drawn down,
Okay.
and that
So
the response was
you're
delayed.
insisting on this conspiracy theory.
No,
So
I'm telling you what
of-
Israeli soldiers said.
no, I mean you of course know that there are a lot of evidences that say that 9. I don't want to pronounce those two dates together. 11 was conspired by Americans. There are a lot of theories that describing how Americans did that. It's the same way.
Mossad is the allegation in a lot of cases too.
Yeah, Mossad. So I'm saying that's the same kind of allegation. But if we leave aside those conspiracy theories, which are purely conspiracy theories,
It's conjecture. Yeah, I hear you.
yeah. So let's leave them aside. So
Okay.
do you agree that there are a lot of suffering on both sides?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Do you agree that none of the two sides got some benefits?
No, I don't agree with that. I think that it depends
Okay,
on whose
let's leave
perspective.
it aside. So, what if I look at the party which really did benefit from it, which could interfere in American internal policy, which diverted attention from their own crimes, which were fueling, educating, and giving weapon to these T organization groups?
I'm not sure what you're talking about right now.
I'm talking about Russians, which absolutely benefited from this situation. They still benefited from it.
Can you clarify that so we can understand what you mean by how did they
Yeah, of
benefit?
course. So, absolutely. So,
Okay, thank you.
there are a couple of points. First of all, the attention which Russians had into this Russian-Ukrainian war was absolutely distracted. So everyone, all the medias, if you remember, were only about this Russian-Ukrainian war, about the war crimes committed Ukrainians have shown those evidences. All the
We got to speed it up a little bit too. We have to let other people get in, but yeah, just take another 30 seconds to explain that. And I would just
Okay, so
disagree. I think the
first,
attention was slowing down quite a bit before this event, but I agree this completely
absolutely
shifted.
slowing down, and Zelensky just confirmed it that the tension was slowed down. Military help was detained, so Ukraine is now suffering huge losses because of stop of military help. Third thing, Russia has a long relation with H organization. They were educating them. They were in Russia studying in the military facilities and secret service organizations. So even Mahmoud Abbas will get his education in Russia. So there are long-term connection in Russia. Russia has.
Is there something to substantiate that claim? Because I'm not familiar with that part of the story.
Yeah, you're just making all this up?
No.
Well, so where is the information that
Just
substantiates
okay.
that claim?
Check how many times each group organization were visiting Russia on this last month.
That doesn't mean anything.
It does mean. And who are you? Can you introduce yourself and why you saying me this that you don't know? Who are you and
Here's who I
what
am.
relation
I'm
to
TLX.
Russia do you
People
have?
know me as DLX. I am
Okay.
pro-Palestinian. And I
Okay,
would like to
so
see where you have this information, what article, what news network released it, and what did they talk about with Russia,
I was
what were the
talking
talks
to
about,
Chips.
et cetera.
I was
Well,
talking.
that was the question I just asked you though. Where's the documentation that backs up the claim that you're making, so we can understand that it's legitimate?
Yeah, okay, so you can basically historically first.
Well, can you be a little quicker because we have to let some other people speak? I just want to know if there's a document you have that shows some sort of validation of what you just claimed.
Just Google how many times each group, Houthis, Syrians, were visiting Russia last month. Google.
But the conflict was on 10/7. The conflict was on 10/7,
Wait a
not
second.
May. April.
Let me finish. I have personal sources, which people which new age group, which was studying in Russia. So and.
I'll tell you what. Do this, Yahab. We got to let our people take a
Yeah,
little
hello
time.
there. Hello, people.
One sec, Mas. One sec.
Okay, my last point.
Hold on. Just let me make a suggestion. If you're going to come to the table with something saying that a certain political group has conspired or worked with or trained militarily under a foreign government, bring something that substantiates that claim, because I'm not aware of that at all, and it's a pretty big shift in what I've learned about this. So, but we need to let others continue for a second. I think the next person was Ronnie, and then we have TLX, and then it's going to be Mas, and we'll come back to you, Yaha. Go ahead, Ronnie, if you're ready.
Skip me to Basim. I'll go after Mas.
I couldn't understand what you said.
Oh, no, I'm listening. Carry on. Speak. I'm listening.
I was just gonna
I
say.
was just saying hello.
Skip me and go to Mas
But-
before I go. That's fine. But I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
Ronnie,
but
did
there
you
was a
wanna-
lot of conspiracy theories. I didn't even understand a lot.
Hold
of
on,
them.
Ronnie, did you want to go? Because Ronnie was next in line. If you don't want to go, Ronnie, I can let Mas go. Are you there, Ronnie? Let me see if I can take Ronnie off the mute. There you go.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chip. I was going to say so much things, but I do believe you're a free thinker, so I changed my mind. I was just going to ask you a few questions.
Okay.
Your views, basically. First of all, I'm just going to say it's unbelievable their fixated narrative from a Zionist is really unbelievable. So my question to you is this: Do American people realize how big this problem is that God chosen people in the future? Do you see that in the future what's coming next? That everyone gonna pay the price eventually. What I'm trying to say, I'm actually looking into the future, like stage by stage. I really clearly see this is one question. Second question is, what is your view about America great and we believe not anymore around the world? People gonna have a different view because of human rights, all the organization, the biasness we see.
Yeah.
And third question is Russia. Russia has never been a problem from a lot of us, our views, because Russia actually, from our understanding as a free thinker, we believe that they try to only protect their land, and they never actually invade anybody, never actually bullied anybody. So this is three questions to you. So if you can please, if you want me to repeat, I'm more than welcome to repeat.
Yeah, just give me a quick summary of each one so I can put them back and I'll get them done for you. What's the first one again? Quick summary.
The first one, okay, I'll go one by one. First one, I'm
Oh,
actually
the
saying,
impact. Yeah, I got the impact. What's the second one?
right. Second one, about America, great, but now what's happening around, like the world
Got
watching
it.
right
Okay,
now?
and then Russia. Okay, all
Yeah,
right. Let me
and
cover
then
this.
Russia.
So let me cover that. So I don't believe that many Americans are very familiar with the idea of the undertow that's kind of the current that's pulling us where we're going. And I think most people are more concerned with day-to-day life, inflation, trying to deal with the headaches of all those things, and trying to escape from these things. They're working extra hours. They don't have the luxury of doing things like we're doing right now. They're busy trying to pay their bills and take care of their families. But I think they're going to learn more and more as things start to tighten and some of the digital things come to bear. People are going to start waking up. But many have woken up, thankfully, and ironically, because of this conflict. People have come to realize that the same old narratives they've been hearing are absolute BS. And the frustration they've felt of the inability to influence the elected officials to do anything to stem the tide of what we're seeing has created an awareness in them that, hey, this applies to everything now. These people just don't care about their constituents, and they only serve the ruling class and the military industrial state, and of course that the influence, the undertow you're talking about. So that's been a big wake up. And then secondly, let me go to the third one first. I've studied the Russia-Ukraine conflict ad nauseum, and I'm sure that the person, what was his name again? Is he still here? He left, I think. He would disagree with me. But I follow people like Scott Ritter and Jeffrey Sachs and Colonel Douglas McGregor and many others, John Mearsheimer. And I believe that what Russia did was simply out of their self-interest, given very few options at the end of a long process. And I know a lot of people wearing the Ukrainian flag pin are going to be pissed off to hear this. But I believe that Russia, given that it has its own interests, just as if the United States had the potential of China putting military troops and bases inside of Quebec or in northern Mexico, we wouldn't stand for that. We wouldn't stand for missiles being in Cuba, and we still have a naval blockade around a country that in 1962 wronged us perceptibly. That's over 60 years ago. That's pretty amazing to think about. The second one was what again? Just repeat. I'm sorry, my brain is not functioning today. Can you just tell me the second question again, Ronnie? Okay, maybe Ronnie had to step away, so I'll cover it again if he brings it up. I apologize. A lot of stuff on my mind right now. Okay.
Right, sorry, because I think I was in a mute. So
Okay.
The second question is, America always basically projected their
look at that.
great, but if you look at the current situation, the world is watching, and then American people is going to be looked at differently around the world eventually because of the human right. Everything is becoming open now. It's biased. Nothing is for the humankind. It's only for one group of people. It's actually made for one group of people.
That's a fair point. So I think a lot of people around the world already knew that we're non-Western. I think the Western people who have been heavily propagandized for a long time, because listen, let's face it, most Western nations aren't directly impacted by American and other imperial foreign policy. But now people around the world are realizing that it's all a load of crap and that it's all based on exploitation and power politics, and we're seeing that with Israel. And the fact that the United States is supporting something that's incredibly objectionable is clear as day. It's irrefutable. So people are angry, and now they're waking up to a lot of issues. I think this is the worst chapter if you're for Israel, which I certainly am not because of how they choose to behave. But if you are, it's almost like watching somebody who gets in a bar fight. And when you get in a bar fight, let's say you're winning and you knock the person down, and then you kick him in the ribs a couple times, and you're like, okay, the guy's knocked out. And then you kick him in the head, and then you go to your car and get out a sledgehammer, and the guy's like, whoa, hold up, dude. This is a done deal. You're good. And the person just can't stop. And I would argue that's what's happening right now with Israel. They're sort of their own worst enemy. Their arrogance and their hubris and their anger, you add all that up, and they're basically shooting themselves in the foot, unfortunately, for them. And I think this has dramatically changed the impression that people have of Israel to a point where I don't know if they'll ever recover from this from a standpoint of their reputation. This is the worst they've ever behaved in all the decades that I've watched them, and that's saying something.
Can I just ask you a last question? Just a last question, basically. I mean, we just observing clearly and looking ahead in the future, maybe in another 20 years' time. I mean, we really believe that new power is going to rise. New power is going to rise is Russia, China, and Far East because of the current situation. Eventually, it will happen because Russia is very stable, and their views are, and they're aiming and they're fixated to sort of take a different direction. What do you think on that? I believe that this is the new power may rise eventually.
Well, nothing lasts forever. We know that from history. The question is, in the transition in this chapter of different power forces, will the weapon systems that are so much more destructive than in past transitions affect the outcome of those? And I believe, unfortunately, that that's a stronger likelihood, which is really dangerous and scary to think about.
Yep.
You know, for example, Israel has a policy that's written and public that says that if it feels its existence is threatened,
Yeah.
it will use its whole litany of 400 or so weapons to lash out at its opponents or elsewhere. That's just Armageddon on steroids. And I
Yeah.
think that shows you it's like someone threatening to take their ball and go home if they're not winning the game. This is the mindset of the Zionists. They believe that they're entitled.
The
and
Operation Samson,
Yeah, exactly. The Samson
the Samson
option. So,
operation.
yeah, so
You say
not good.
something that intrigues me, Chip. You have said something that intrigued me quite a lot, to be honest. You say a person when you were talking about this person, quote unquote person, saying being supremacist. So
Yeah.
I have two questions. The first question is, what is a person?
What is a person?
Yes.
I'm not sure. Why would you ask me that question? I think we know the answer to what a person is.
No, I think people do not know what person means.
What definition would you like to assign to it other than an individual human being?
Well, I have the legal definition, but human being. No, a human being is an entire different thing.
Okay.
Human being
Well,
is a human being. The person is a person. So,
okay. Well, tell us
different
what you
stuff.
think that. What's the distinction? Why don't you share it with the audience? What you believe what the definition is?
Well, the person is the legal term you use to describe your legal persona, which is a fictional character within this legal fiction matrix. But a human
Okay.
being is a real living being. So,
I see. Okay.
are you referring to that as a real living being or a person?
Well, when you delineate the two that way, we can use person to be a persona, if you want to call it. It could be the person's name, or it could be some other representation of the person or the subject. So, I mean, I guess there's a differentiation there that I wasn't including. What's the point of making that distinction?
Well, if you refer to that voice as a human being, is different if you say a person, because you are talking in a legal and fictitious term, while you refer to that to a human.
But what is this having to do with?
Is-
How is this germane to the conversation? Is my question to you.
Because this will tell me if all this conflict is within inside the matrix or not, within inside the lies or not.
When you
Of
say
this
inside the
fictitious world.
matrix, can you say what you think the matrix is, so we can say it's inside the matrix? What do you mean by the matrix?
The fictitious legal system, which everything is a corporation. Your country, everything is a corporation, bro. Do you understand?
I tell you what, let's do this. When you have a chance to finish whatever it is you're eating or whatever, let's let somebody else come in, and when you're done doing that, because we don't want to have people chewing on stuff while we're talking here. TLX, did you want to come in and share anything?
Well, I was gonna talk to the other guy that was pro iCountry.
I think he's
He's gone.
in. Yeah, let me bring him up. He's coming back in. I think he just dropped accidentally. But yeah, let's do this. Let's not interrupt each other. But if somebody does ask a question, then it's okay to respond as the question.
I'm okay to take a pass for a minute. If you want to bring someone on, that's cool.
Okay, let's do this. I think Avi's coming in, and we also have the other guest that was here. Maybe there's one more that's in the queue. If you can't come in for some reason, I'm not keeping you out on purpose. What happens with TikTok sometimes is it just doesn't quite finally register somebody. Hey, just a second, old Jewish. I'll get you in here. So the best way to fix that is to exit TikTok, close down your data, like go into airplane mode or something like that. Come on back to your internet and then come back in, and that 99% of the time will make it work. Okay, so right now the two of you, I think it's Avi and get his nickname. He's I think he's a person.
I got one more question when I get a chance. Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Ronnie. If you're ready, go ahead, and then we'll bring in old Jewish after that. If you're ready, Ronnie, go ahead. Question. Okay, I guess you don't have a question there. So I'm not really clear on what that distinction was being present for, saying the matrix, and is this within a legal construct versus, I guess, physical. All I know is that what's happening is happening, and unfortunately it involves a large loss of life and a big shift in the chapter of the long-term conflict, I believe, in terms of awareness and public perception, which I think will make a difference long-term, although it may take longer than one would like because of the pervasive nature of the power structure that's in place.
My question to you
Do
is
you want to
basically,
say anything, Ronnie? or-
I'm just a bit concerned the way
ahead.
things going in Europe and USA. I just want your views on that. What do you think that we are heading for? Do you think we are heading for the government total control over us, and then we're going to live under sort of under total control of government? Are we heading that way? No freedom, no human right, thing like that.
Like a worldwide apartheid?
Yeah, I think
yeah,
it's
yeah, thank you,
it's
yeah,
hard to
that's-
it's hard to argue that we're not already moving in that direction in terms of inertia. Especially recently in the United States, we're seeing efforts to ban certain social media platforms like the one we're on right now. We're seeing efforts to limit the type of speech that can be used vis-a-vis one particular country, its military, and its general system of approach of doing things in the world, which is unthinkably narrow. I don't know an example that even gets close to that in modern history of things we can't speak to or with prohibited speech. In Europe, you're seeing a lot of crackdown on people holding, for example, a Palestinian flag in public. Like in Germany, you can get tackled for doing that by the police, which is absolutely absurd. In Canada, the truckers that protested the situation with the medical intervention, they had their bank accounts frozen by the Canadian government. Anybody who even showed support for them in their cause got their bank accounts frozen. They couldn't live. This is pretty crazy stuff. And this is all leading towards, what seems to be some form of fascism or totalitarianism where the authorities can pretty much do what they want as time goes by, and the population just has to kind of deal with it.
How do we fight this? How do we get sort of more awareness to people to say, look, drop our bias and just don't be one-sided, open, free thinker, and then we need to push back. How do we open people's mind that people don't want to get it because fixated in their own culture and own label under one label, like either their culture, the tribe or religion or this and that, rather than collectively for our lives to make it better.
Well, let's face it, human beings are very tribal. And what we're seeing right now in the United States are people at the top taking advantage of that aspect of human existence. They're pitting people against each other on left-right issues, Democrat, Republican, conservative this, Second Amendment culture versus the ability to terminate a pregnancy, to, talking about healthcare policy. And everyone's bickering about that, but the national security state, the militarism, and the economic divide is just getting more and more out of control, as are the financial debts and obligations that the same people who are being, squeezed by inflation have an even bigger debt on the back end for their kids and grandkids that are required to pay that off, and the interest is becoming unsustainable. This is all by design. This is how countries get tapped out, basically. Think of the sociopathic serial accumulator class as like little mosquitoes, and they run around and they try to just draw things from places where they can. So when calamitous situations occurs, like a pandemic, what happens? Money flows from the treasury, goes through institutions or corporations, and who owns those? Well, you know who owns the shares, and then who has the credit card debt? The general population. So they make up maybe about 1/4% of the domestic population, and they have 75% of all the wealth. It's an absolutely absurd system. Right now, I don't know how it's going to change. I've talked about ways to maybe organize, but it's very difficult to overcome these basic instincts of, anger towards the other side. Like Jimmy Dore said, your Trump supporter down the street is not your enemy. Your enemy is the corporation who's giving money, or the interest group like AIPAC who's giving money and keeping the political process from serving the constituency.
I'm just gonna actually, because your time is very valuable, and I'm just gonna leave. I just want to say thank you so much. You're the only person actually in TikTok are consistent in the message. And I'm sorry. I just want to say thank you so much for your work. We greatly appreciate because you're doing it for humanity. And I just before I leave, I'm just going to say that the Europe are controlled by APAC totally in one-sided. Thank you very much.
And thanks for being here. I think TLX was next, and then we'll go to Old Jewish, and then, no, I'm sorry, Old Jewish was next, and then, well, you want to say something, TLX, because you've been hanging around and kind of partially in the mix.
I could go.
Okay, go ahead.
I
Yeah,
just
then we'll do Old Jewish, then Avi.
Um, I see a lot of desperate moves right now. The deflection has gone way too far. They're trying anything and everything. I was earlier on a panel where you were the main subject, Chip.
Well, real quick, I'm going to be able to hear you, but I have to put my phone here. I'm going into a room where the signal will go out, so I'm going to leave my phone here. I'll be back. I'm just putting some laundry in the dryer. So keep continuing. If you finish TLX, let's go to Old Jewish, and then Avi, and then it'll be Federico, okay? But keep on talking. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, just that the silly ideas that I have been seeing lately coming out of some of the panels, like the one recently. Oh, some guy pew-pewing at you wants your house because for some reason he didn't want to mention. He says the house belongs to him. I mean, I don't know if he's on the panel still. I mean, you should just kind of try and process that for a minute, and maybe try to come up with something better than that, because it's very obvious. We know where you're going with it. We know that the typical propaganda, it's not working anymore, and it's maybe time to come to realize that unless we negotiate something here with the government of the I country, all the other countries are coming after it eventually, like they did in World War II when they went after a certain someone. And they're not seeing that. They're making mistakes. They're being self-blinded by self-preservation too much. And the egotistical comments, it's like they can not possibly do anything wrong, ever. But that's all I have for now, Chip. If you want to pass it along, I'll mute.
Avi, is you now.
Doing. I just want to correct Chip about two stuff, because Chip, when all the time when he give example, he try to unhuman the Israeli state. Everything he just said, because he just said before about the Samson plan. He said the Israeli had a plan to knock down all the Middle East if something happened. And it's so BS. So I have nothing to say, because one of those so-called plan written there that somebody invented said that if there was invasion inside Israel from another place, so we're gonna boom with a nuclear bomb, boom, all the Arab countries or the place who got invaded. And it just happened in the 7th of October, and no atomic bomb was ever replaced or ever. So
It was suggested.
another
though.
example,
It was
when Chip
suggested.
says about
It was
let me just finish.
suggested, wasn't it?
When Chip just says about example about the controlling or the lobby, he said about APAC, yeah. But there are so many lobbies, you know how much money Qatar and Saudi Arabia give to the university and some or to the Senate or to everybody, just getting so much money, not just to the age group. So all the example. Let me just finish.
You were done, bro.
No, I didn't interrupt, guys. I didn't interrupt when you're talking. Every time when Chip saying something bad about anything that happened, he have to involve Israel or Zionists or something. That's the same like the Masterman says that all the problem in the world, everything happened in the world is connected to the Jewish, to the Zionists, whatever he called them. But now there is another meaning. You can blame, the ISIS. You can blame Ukraine war. You can blame even the 7th of October, what the age group do to Israel, the atrocity. No, that's the Apaches, and it's the Israelis make to themselves. It's you can compare you can see really compare the old anti-Semitism and the new anti-Semitism. The old anti-Semitism, you just change the word between Jewish and Zionist, because the new anti-Semitism, they don't say Jewish. In the demonstration I see a lot of Jewish stuff, but never said they just change the word. Not the Jewish control the world, the Zionists control the world. Not all the blame in any other world, the Congos and anything happen in the world. If you listen to the pro-party panels all the time, so you see any panels have a big debate about what the Zionists do in the Sudan war, in the Congo. Never mind that the Iran supplied the Sudanese army and the Iran is the biggest enemy of Israel, but never mind. Everything happened in the world. Somebody even, I heard one of the panels, that the IGO, the Muslim IGO, the Chinese put them in the camps, and do those atrocities to the Muslim. It's a Zionist and the China, of course, support the Palestinians. They together have to plan to put the Muslim IGO inside the camp. So also cheap, and also the other pro-Palestine, it's the same stuff. If you can put all what the Masterman is saying and just change it to Zionist, you see everything. They are controlling the world, and the bankers, and the AIPAC, and everything happening in the world, in America, and the racism in the world is the Zionists. In the old time, they called it Jewish, but now it's not politically correct to say Jewish. So cheap calling, Israel have a plan to destroy the world with the atomic bomb. It's called Samson. Of course, it's a BS. Israel don't even admit they have a nuclear bomb. Israel is the only country with a bomb that really have, people are war to wipe this country out of the map, and we're not using this bomb. Never. We won't even admit we have this bomb. So Chip also have know what happened with the plan and the. It's everything. I just finished with the last sentence. Everything you're just saying, there's not just you, Chip. I'm not talking about you, because you are not the extremist one. There was a lot more extremist one. But everything they are saying in all the pro-party lives, you change the word Jewish to Zionist, they are controlling the world. They make ISIS. They make, everything bad in the world is the Zionist regime. Yeah, and the Mossad,
Look,
of course.
let's address that for 1 second. So, what I say is, I think the word "all" is not a fair word to use, because I think that's not true. I think that certain things have certain influences on different parts of the world, politics and otherwise. It's hard to refute that there isn't some influence from at least AIPAC. In the way that AIPAC works, and Avi is exactly right. The amount of money that flows from AIPAC and other pro-Israel lobbies is not the largest amount of money that flows in lobbying. There are plenty of lobbyists, and he's right about that. There's like five or 10 lobbyists for every member of Congress. It's ridiculous. However, the climate that's been created by the AIPAC lobby, the pro-Israel lobby, is incredible. It's the most powerful lobby in terms of the way things act in the behavior and the punishments and rewards that occur within the political system in the U.S. Congress, and also arguably in the UK and elsewhere. It's got a huge impact. And here's why. And again, I have a friend that served in the Congress, so I have a little bit of direct insight into this. If you don't know, the Israeli lobby is AIPAC. It's a not-for-profit public advocacy group. It's called American Israel Public Affairs Committee. And what AIPAC does is it collects money as a registered domestic lobbying agency, but on behalf and advocating for a foreign government, which that in of itself is interesting. And it has no requirement to report its sources of funds, and it pays no taxes. So it's an incredibly powerful group with a lot of money, a lot of influence. And what they do is this. They pretty much set it up as a binary. You either support Israel in all of its endeavors without criticism. And Avi, I got to keep you on mute there for a second, my friend. Or you don't. If you're 1% disloyal, it's 100% no loyalty. So 99% loyalty is no good. If you do anything to criticize Israel publicly in your policies, they will make an effort to unseat you. Now, this is how brazen they are. and this rarely happens, they've publicly stated in this election cycle that they're going to commit $100 million to try to unseat 7 representatives in the House of Representatives. That's a lot of money. That's like $13.5 million per race, and the average spend is only between where you are about $3 to $5 million. So it's almost triple. So who do you think is going to win the race if they can get more advertising dollars, more people on the street, more canvassers, more phone calls? You know, it's politics. They're going to win the race. So they have the power to do that. In addition, the way the party system works is money gets raised, it goes to the central committee, and then the leadership of the party decide who gets it when the elections come by. If you're a good boy or girl and you play ball and you go with the party line, including supporting Israel, you get rewarded by having opportunities to serve on different committees, which has a big effect on what legislation comes out of committee and goes to the floor. So lobbyists will be at your door with money and prizes and stuff to try to butter you up to get their agenda met. If you don't do that, none of that occurs for you. You're relegated. You don't get invited to cocktail parties, much less get any money for reelection. It's a tough system. Now, if you're a good person and you enter Congress with the best of ideas, and let's say you disagree with what's going on right now in Israel, for example, and you just don't like the fact that, regardless of how it's justified, that a lot of children and women are being unalived. So you advocate for that like Candace Owens does. You can't do that. It's like political suicide to go against the Israel lobby, or at least for the most part. It's hard to, so maybe Bernie Sanders is safe because he has such a long-standing tradition as an independent from Vermont, but most reps can be unseated pretty easily. So there's the problem. That's the power structure. And, congressmen have testified to this. Some have said that, they've made claims like literally Israel owns. Pat Buchanan said it. Congressman James Traficant said it. And others have said that basically Israel owns the U.S. Congress. Presidents have talked about it. Barack Obama talked about it. Barack Obama talked about it in his book.
Yeah. So I'm making claims.
Let me just answer you shortly because I'm not inside the American politics, but I just talking about the principle. So if you have something against the lobbyist, yeah. So why you don't talk against lobbyists? Why you don't put a law that the gun lobby, the AIPAC lobby, the lobby for the African American, and Qatar lobby, that the Arab American lobby, and the Qatar, all the money they put in the university. Why you don't say stop the lobbies? So for you cheap, and this is why I criticize you. I don't criticize you about. Let me just finish this.
Just I want to be clear, Avi. When you make an allegation like that, you don't listen. Every one of my lives is recorded. This is the good thing. I can't lie. Go back to my lives. They're on YouTube and Rumble. The link's in my bio. You'll find me talking about these things all the time. I am critical of the entire U.S. political system writ large. And I do say that this particular issue is but one small victim among a larger set of issues that are held hostage by the same structure that I'm referring to.
Okay, now you make my point. This is what I'm saying in the beginning. All the example you give about the bad stuff in the world, you don't give the example about I want to change the system. You're just talking about AIPAC. When you're talking about atomic boom boom, let me just finish. Let me talk about atomic boom boom. You don't talking about India and Pakistan. You're talking about Israel. All your example you give in all your lives, it's about Israel. It's about the Zionists. Because I really appreciate if you say, and I agree with you, and I can sign. I'm not American citizen, but I can sign for you for this. No, even in Israel there is a problem of lobby for the big companies and stuff like this. Stop the lobbies by law, yeah. But what you are doing, you're just talking about AIPAC. You don't talking about the gun lobby. I never heard you here talking so much times about the gun lobby and about the African American lobby and the Arab.
Okay, Avi, you obviously haven't. Hold on, you obviously haven't followed me enough. So if you follow my work, I spend extensive amounts of time not talking about Israel, not talking about anything other than the core rot that lies at the center of the American, in fact, the Western political system. And I've gone into very excruciating detail on what I think the outcomes need to be to change it, the path to get it done, how the transition would work, why it's probably not going to happen because of the difficulties involved. But I agree, one of the key components is to separate money from politics. I talk about it all the time. Anybody who follows me,
and you just say AIPAC.
No, I don't. Avi, listen. You're not listening.
One sentence.
Just listen for 1 second, man. What I'm saying is you're making false allegations. You're not listening to me. So just listen for a second. Yes, I mentioned the influence of AIPAC vis-a-vis this particular issue, which is the Israel-Palestine conflict, and many of the decision-making processes in Congress as far as who does or doesn't get elected is based upon what somebody's views are vis-a-vis Israel because of the punishments and the incentives that are in place from the influence of AIPAC and other pro-Israel groups. But there's a much bigger problem in general between the other interest groups, as you've mentioned. So the energy industry, the food industry, the weapons manufacturers, the National Rifle Association. There's all sorts of different, big pharma is a huge one. These are big problems. Corporations and high net worth individuals are not necessarily concerned even about the nation state. They will take money wherever they can get it, however they can get it. They'll abuse labor. They'll abuse the environment. They'll take money out of people's treasuries and stick the bill on the people. They don't care. That's why I call them the sociopathic serial accumulator class. I talk about that all the time.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, but if you just didn't mention AIPAC, like hundreds times a day, AIPAC, in all the example, AIPAC. I listen to you a lot because I appreciate you, Chief. I listen to you a lot, and you all the time talk about AIPAC. You're not talking about against the system, because AIPAC is a Jewish lobby, Israeli Jewish lobby. So this is why you're talking about it. I never heard you here. If you count the time of AIPAC, the amount of time of you say AIPAC.
Yeah.
So you're never talking about so much about all those other stuff, but you're talking about AIPAC.
Okay, so I'm only going to do this, Avi. I want you to come back in if you want to, but you just kept repeating yourself over and over again. So listen, I think it's fair for someone who analyzes the U.S. political system and the Israel-Palestine conflict to discuss at times the role that the lobby and entity that affects this plays. It also plays a bigger role in general American politics. It just is what it is. It could be, like I said, it could be the Mexican cartels. If the Mexican cartels had an undue influence on the American government, if we had members of the administration that had dual citizenship with the U.S. and Mexico, with relationships, and they claim themselves to be a Mexican first, as well as being an American, you might wonder about their loyalties. That's a normal thing to look into. If there was plenty of people in business that were related to Mexican headpins in the cartel, hey, why is it the entertainment industry has 78% of its executives that are from the cartel? What the hell is that all about? Why would that be unfair to point out if they're Mexican? But the moment you say the word Zionist or Jewish, it's all of a sudden anti-Semitic, or it's tropes, or it's hate towards Jewish people. Get out of here. That's ridiculous. People are trying to make an assessment of the power dynamics in modern America and in the world. And in doing so, you have to try to be objectively honest. I don't want it to be the way it is. I hate the fact that our system is the way it is. And if indeed some of the allegations that are out there about the influences that some people believe are undue, and obviously if you have a population of people that makes up less than 2% of the American population and a much smaller fraction of the global population, but if they have an undue influence within governments and policies globally and domestically, that is noteworthy in and of itself from a standpoint of just simple mathematics, okay? There's nothing mean-spirited about making that observation, although it's been made socially unacceptable to talk about these things because they put it in a bucket called anti-Semitism. What are we, anti-Mexican? We don't like tacos? If we point out that the cartel members are all over the U.S. government or elsewhere in industry, that's bullshit, right? So you have to be fair. I don't focus exclusively on Israel-Palestine. People that have been on my lives have heard me go on for hours at a time when I talk about the power dynamics, the system as I see it, what needs to change, what needs to be broken up, how it's not going to happen easily. And I don't even mention Israel for hours at a time. I don't believe it's Israel's fault that these things are there. I think Israel is an issue. I don't like the behavior of the Israeli government. I don't like the mentality of supremacy of the Zionist movement. I don't like what we're seeing as far as the damage being done to Palestinians. I think they get a bad shake. I also don't like the attacks that harm civilians in any case on both sides, in fairness. But that's why I come down where I do. And if you flip the parties, Avi, just to let you know, if it was Mexican in the U.S. government and it was an Arab state doing what's being done by Israel to Palestinians, I would criticize the Arab state because I don't care who's doing it. It's what they're doing that I'm criticizing. Okay? That's it. I do not have a negative approach towards Jewish people or towards the Jewish state in particular. It's about the behavior that is noteworthy and worthy of condemnation, in my opinion. And that's all I have is my opinion. Okay? I can't bring anything else. Okay, who was next on the list here? I think it was going to be Old Jewish Cowboy. Welcome.
Okay, first off, I saw you on a live earlier today, and you were amazing.
Well, that's very kind of you. I tried my best, but it was not easy sledding.
No, it wasn't. They had 5-1, and they really were looking to twist anything that you could say. And of course they couldn't, because you speak the truth, and it's tough to twist the truth. But they kept wanting you to go and say that H Group was an amazing group and that they were you know, you were in favor of H group, and they just wanted to get you on that. That was their thing. And I got that. But what you didn't know was after you left, what they talked about. And what they talked about was you. And there were many people who thought that they shouldn't have even given you a platform.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard some of that.
Oh, you did? Okay. Now I'm just curious because I was like, really? And I understand why they don't want to give you a platform. The same way I can't get up on the Jewish content creators live. They won't put me on.
Yeah.
So
I mean, listen, this is going to sound very sort of self-aggrandizing, but you know, I think with anybody, if somebody's an effective communicator, they have some knowledge to the subject, and they speak openly and as transparently as they can, and it threatens someone else's narrative, that person in and of themselves is going to be somebody who's not a very highly loved individual. You know, especially when they're hard to sort of beat down into a corner when it comes to the actual substance, which is why they revert to the personal attacks and the personal assassinations and the cancel culture and all that other stuff. Now, some people have been legitimately offended by the things that I've done or said. Fair enough. And if you choose to tune out somebody who you don't like, Nick Fuentes, Chip Barnes, anybody else, do that. But when it comes down to the merits of the argument, anybody, no matter what you don't like about them, if they have a reasonable knowledge of a subject, they should be given an ample opportunity to share that knowledge, in my opinion. And there are people, I don't like Andrew Tate, but I appreciate the fact that he's spoken very well towards the Palestinian issue when he's had a platform to do so. So with that in mind, yeah.
yeah, so I mean, like I said, I'm very happy to see how well you did. I tried to come up, and they wouldn't pick. They wouldn't, even though I was the first in line. They just would not take me. So because there were so many other things I wanted to hit. Well, I wanted to hit him with the money, okay? Because I like hitting him with the money, especially since
when you grew up, though, I hate to sorry to interrupt you. Did you grow up in a place where you initially were among the mindset of being supporting Zionism, and at some point it changed, or were you always brought up in a house where that was not the case?
Oh my goodness! No, I was a super apartheid supporter. I actually made Aliyah. I moved to Israel. I married an Israeli. I even volunteered to spend a month on an IDF base just so I could see what it was like, and so I could help them during the first Intifada, so they could have other people go and do their stuff. So I was much more than the average American Jew as far as being a supporter of Israel. I was super admirer. I was super.
What things growing up did you hear in your household that reinforced that set of beliefs?
Well, the first one was that the Palestinians left on their own. They were told to leave during the Nakba, and that there was no such thing as a Nakba. There was the independence, and it was a whole bunch of Arab armies that attacked Israel, and that it was a miracle they survived. Okay, that was first lie. Second one was when I was 4, they invaded Gaza. Okay, in '56, and I was running around in my kindergarten class with other children, waving the Israeli flag on the success they had at beating Gaza, which is like, really. And then of course there was the '67 war, and I was told that was again that they were outnumbered, and it was all these bad Arabs against them, and all this kind of stuff. And then of course '73, and I'm a long life, right? I'm 72 years old, so and I was a supporter all the way up until I moved over there and I saw for myself what was happening. And it wasn't about them and the Palestinians. It was them and the way they treated each other. Okay? It was the way the Ashkenazi treated the Arab Jew.
Can you explain that to the audience? What's the difference between an Ashkenazi and the other group that you mentioned?
Oh yeah, the Sephardim and the Mizrahi. The Sephardim were Jews who moved from Spain during 1492 and moved down into North Africa. They were in Tunisia, Morocco, whatever. The Mizrahi are more like the Iraqi Jews.
And then who are Ashkenazis? Where do they come from?
Hang on for just a second. Could you please?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead. Sure. just take a second there. Yeah, this is an important question that a lot of people raise in terms of, people talk about DNA. I'm not really sure who has what. I know people argue that people have been expelled over time, and therefore, even though they're from Europe in terms of their residence before they went to Israel, that they were originally from the land. And I don't know. I've not done the test to determine that. I do believe that there was an indigenous, like local regional culture of a common. This is, by the way, the terminology at that time: Jews, Arabs, and Christians. So there definitely are people who are of Jewish descent that are from that region, no doubt about it. There definitely are people who are from the Canaanites that are considered modern day Arabs that are also, and maybe they all are from that delineation. I'm not really sure, but that doesn't change the fact that people were living together. And at one point, there was a kingdom that was run by the Jewish people under the kingdom of David. It didn't last more than a couple 300 years, I don't believe. But they believe that because at that time frame they had established a land, and in their book they believe in that was established for them by their God, that therefore they're the ones who ultimately have access to the land, which you could do with that as you may. I tend to say that stories like that are hard to swallow, because how can one person who's living somewhere be told after 2,600 years that you're coming back to take something because a book that they believe in says it's theirs? That's a little tough for me to swallow. I'm sure it was for people who were shot at in 1948. I am Palestinian. You are next. Would you like to say something?
I can comment a few things, and then the old Jew, he can.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a phone call.
All right. You want to continue, my friend?
Yeah, I was just going to say the difference between them is one where the Arab Jew, okay, they are treated as an Arab. They were my ex-wife who went over there in the early 50s. They were treated badly. She was called black. They had incredible prejudice towards her, and it resides even up to today. 30%. An Ashkenazi makes 30% over the Arab Jew. So the East European has a 30% income inequality, and it gets worse when you're talking about the Russian and you're talking about the Ethiopian, and then of course you get down to the Arab, and he's got half the average income of an Israeli Jew. So, I mean, and they play it for all it's worth. They were able to actually convince the Arab Jew that they weren't smart enough, which is why they've never had a prime minister who was a person of color, even though 60% of their population is people of color. I mean, could you imagine if America was 60% African American and we'd never had an African American president? I mean, that would.
I know I never heard that before. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, and yet they will say that, well, we're a democracy. We only put in the best people. Well, what does that say?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you
it's
think
not
is there
unbelievable.
is there a
It's not
superior?
true also.
Hold on, just a second, Yahweh. Just a sec. I was going to ask a question. Do you believe that there is a difference in the mindset of people who are from European descent, Ashkenazi, versus other Jewish people, such that they think that they're the best, more important people among the Jews?
Of course.
Why is that? Why do they feel that way?
Why do the Ashkenazi think that their Jewish supremacy runs rampant?
Yeah. What motivates that? Like, what is special about them? Are they more intelligent? Are they run faster? Like, what's the deal?
Well, the Ashkenazi do believe that their IQ is actually higher than the average person.
Okay.
The average Ashkenazi does believe that there is something about them being the chosen people. I mean, they really do believe that they're special.
Okay.
And unfortunately, for many of them, that turned into Jewish supremacy. But the ones who really took over on the Jewish supremacy side was the Arab Jew. And that's not that. And if you think of it like a Trump supporter, okay, it's exactly the same thing. The guy who eats roadkill, that's think he's superior to a lot of folks.
So what impact is that having on the current body politic, both domestically here in the U.S. as well as in Israel? Is there any influence of that?
Say that again. I'm not sure I understand.
What impact does that prevalence of certain parts of the Jewish community to feel it's superior? What impact, if any, does that have on the political influences domestically
it runs the
or
entire
internationally?
society.
How so?
It's systemic. It's systemic racism within Israel. The Ashkenazi are the ones that are the power group, and the Mizrahi have been. They have the numbers. So all you have to do is get a few in the power group to go with the numbers, and you got it. And that's basically what you've got now. You've got the Sephardim actually are big Bibi supporters, much higher percentage than the Ashkenazi.
Do you think a lot of the people on? Do
It's,
you think a lot of the people? Do you think?
Pentecostal.
Hold on, just wait. I have one more question. Do you think a lot of the people on TikTok that are hardcore arguing in favor of Israel's policies, that are very outspoken and very rude to people who differ with them, do you think that they're also Ashkenazi and they feel like they're better than others because they know it all?
No, I think a lot of them are Mizrahi and Sephardim, and they think they're better.
Oh, they do
Right,
also.
you see-
Okay, I didn't know
Sure,
that.
because you see, if you were in a caste system where you have Ashkenazi at the top, and then you have the Arab Jew, and then you have the Russian, and then you have the Ethiopian, and then you have the Druzim, or the Druze, and then you have the Bedouins. Okay, well, you're at the top level. I mean, you're not at the top, but you're close to it. So you're better than the Russian. You're better than the Ethiopian.
Okay, let's give. I think the next person was I am Palestinian, and then
Yeah,
and then
old,
Zvi.
old Jewish. I used to have another profile. We used to talk a lot. A month ago, I spoke with you, and you said that Netanyahu was trying to go in some sort of alliance with North African Jews in order for him to be some sort of win the popularity or some majority or something like that. And you did also talk about that he's trying to get some sort of permit, circumvent the court, so he can, persecute people without some court, what do you call it, permission or something like that. You remember you talked
Right.
about
They're having a judicial reform, and the idea is that they can go ahead and have it so that they can put in laws and not have to worry about the reasonableness standard, which was something that their Supreme Court used to overrule laws. For instance, if they wanted to export or deport all Palestinians, okay, their Supreme Court would say no, it's against the reasonableness standard. They want to get rid of the reasonableness standard so that if the majority of Knesset says, get rid of all the Palestinians, we're going to deport them all, they can deport them all.
Okay, old Jewish cowboy. Can I ask you,
Mike, by the way.
old Jewish cowboy, when last time you have been to Israel? Was it 50s?
No, 2010 actually.
Yeah. Did you notice
And wait a minute, yeah.
notice this
wait a
segregation?
minute, wait. You didn't hear my story, man. Let
I
me
have
finish.
heard your story.
No.
This was a very interesting
did you-
story,
No,
but
did you know
you
that I have
you gave
Nigerians
bunch of lies
that I
here.
talk to every
You
week?
gave bunch of lies. You bullshitting
Oh, my
people.
goodness.
So
Okay, hold
Here
on, real
we
quick.
go.
Before you make the allegations, let me just step in, okay? So if you think somebody's saying something that's not true, instead of saying a bunch of lies, you can say, "Hey, you said this, and I disagree. I think that was not factual." But if somebody may not have been saying it on purpose, you never know. Maybe
yeah,
they're just
okay. I
wrong.
want to take these allegations one by
So
one.
just take one and then start talking, and then we'll go to the next one. Which one do you think was incorrect?
They were correct, like 1930, 1950, and if you look at like USA, where this act against racism was taken in 1958, or in Russia, people were slaves until 1980. That was a natural.
That's not making any sense. What are you talking about? Because I didn't remember Jewish cowboy talking about Russians and slaves and stuff like that.
No, he was talking about racism against. So the first Aliyah was Yemens. The first Aliyah was Yemens who came to Israel 81 or something like that. The second Aliyah was Russians, which came from SARS. So then that was, of course,
I'm sorry, but
racism,
first,
like in whole world, racism against people from third world, but that is ended. So you can see Yemen Jews, you can see Ethiopian Jews in all the aspects of our life. There are interracial marriages. There is no problem at all. So he's just blabbering an old.
How am I blabbering? Only
You are
8% of the
blabbering
population
old,
are
50
mixed.
years old
Oh
bullshit,
my
Or
which is
Jewish, can I
just
ask you a question?
No,
Chip,
hold on,
can I
guys.
ask
Hold
or
on.
Jewish a question,
No,
please?
hold on, guys. We have to have some order to this. So first of all, no foul language because that can get the live taken down. Please, I don't really care if you cuss except for TikTok. Secondly, if we're going to go back and forth, if you're going to make an allegation, just let the other person respond briefly without interrupting them, and then we'll go back and forth in an orderly fashion, one point by one point. If people talk over each other, nobody can hear, nobody can understand what's going on. So, you said, Yaya, that he's spewing a lot of misinformation about the Aliyah.
yes. It
So,
was partially true like 50 years ago. And he is 72 years old. Probably he has dementia or something which made him to forget what happened
hold on. Now,
last.
let's be fair. Let's be fair to each other. Now, he sees it differently than you. So, old Jewish, why is it that you think you're correct and he's wrong? Can you please explain? We don't know any. I don't know any better. Whichever.
Very simple. Everywhere in parliament,
explain, but
inside.
Is your name old Jewish? I said old Jewish, and then you can come back. Go ahead, please, old Jewish.
Okay, so here's the deal. Okay, all you have to do is look at the income. And if you look at the income of the Ashkenazi versus the income of the Sephardim and the Mizrahi, there's a 30% difference. The
Look at
vast
the income
majority of Mizrahi Arabs, or the Arab Jews, so to speak, okay, they're the ones who are the workers. They're the mechanics, they're the engine, they are the electricians, the plumbers. And this isn't 50 years ago, this is today. In fact, in 2014, Bibi
bullshit. This is bullshit. You know that.
in
Okay,
2014,
I gave
Bibi
you a warning. I
himself.
got to take you down, man. Sorry about that. If you want to come back and you want to A, not interrupt, and B, not cuss, I'm welcome to have you because I want to have a good, healthy debate. But you're not respecting the live. You're not respecting me. You're not respecting the guests. Disrespect means got to go. Okay? Respect, you're welcome back. Please finish up.
So basically, what I'm saying is that Bibi himself, Bibi Netanyahu in 2014 himself said, what's wrong with being a plumber or a mechanic when they were talking about the disparity between the Mizrahi and Sephardim and the Ashkenazi, okay? And then they asked him, would you like your son to be a plumber? Of course, he didn't answer that one. But the fact is, okay,
Listen,
Real quick, we want to make sure we're staying.
or Jewish,
Well, I
I
think
want to say something.
Avi, hold on one sec, Avi. I know you're eager to talk. We want to hear what you have to say. Federico was next, though. If you want to take your turn to Avi, you can. Federico, did you want to come in?
No, I'm absorbing some information. I'm learning.
Okay, great. Avi, what would you like to say?
Yeah. When I listen to All Jewish Cowboy, his name is it's really correct about the All Jewish, because I when I hear him, I like hearing what's happened in the 50s in Israel. When somebody American come, oh, the white one taking slaves, the slave, the black one, and stuff like this, and they are racist in America. This is what's happened, and what the guy before me is told you. Of course, in the 50s, when the new immigrant came from the Middle East to the white Israeli, it was a little bit of racist, like every country in any other country in the world. When new people coming, new immigrant, racism happened. It's not good, but it's happened. So what Old Cowboy was described, it's about what's happened 50 years ago. Yeah, when I was born, it was there, and absolutely he was right. But he is not knowing what's happened now.
Today, Avi,
let me just finish.
Real quick. This is important. He based his claims on the income disparity. Are you saying that his claims about the income disparity are incorrect? And if so, how are they different?
It's not just incorrect; it's the opposite right now. The most high level since the Likud party, in '77 there was the Likud party, Menachem Begin, and he made the revolution. He put he wasn't Sephardi, but he put in the leaders in every company he just started. It was about 50 years ago, to put the manager people from Sephardic, and right now all the high levels, like most of them, they are not Ashkenazi. Ashkenazi are the most population in Israel, it's not Ashkenazi. The Ashkenazi are maybe about 25, but the most member of parliaments are Mediterranean, not Israel. The most ministers in Israel, of course, the prime minister is not, because the Sephardic like the prime minister Bibi Netanyahu. I don't know why. I don't like him, but most of the ministers in Israel are not Ashkenazi. The most people you see in the managers of the big ministers, not as the minister, the manager of the ministers, the political managers are not Ashkenazi. So everything was all Jewish. It's just about his knowledge about 50 years ago. It's totally. I told you I live in this country.
That's your
Totally
point.
different.
Let's let him respond, because you mentioned his name. So old Jewish, according to Avi, you're old news. You're thinking about 1950.
Oh yeah, that's why 75 years there's never been a person of color for prime minister. And by the way, there's only been one defense minister. Yeah, they give the Sephardim all these little jobs, like now today. However, I will say that the Sephardim and the Mizrahi do have, like for instance, Ben Gvir and Smotrich. These people, they are definitely, although I don't know, there's something about Smotrich as far as him being Sephardim or Mizrahi. But anyway,
he's not Sephardi. He's not Sephardi.
It depends on how you.
He's not Sephardi.
He classifies himself as
No. He's Ashkenazi.
Okay?
No.
He says he's
No.
Mizrahi. So you argue with him.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
That is
That's
true.
right. Well,
And also,
we'll work that out later. He's one.
but
person.
anyway, getting back to what you said, you are absolutely incorrect. The startup nation, which is filled with the IT professionals, they are all, or the vast majority of them, are Ashkenazi. So how the hell are you saying that that's not true? Because honestly, I took the figures of 30% from your own government. They put it out there. I didn't. Okay. The same way your government put out the fact that the average Israeli Arab makes half of what the average Israeli Jew is. So please just go. And honestly, you can Google it. You can actually Google it and it'll come up. So don't spread lies.
You know what's funny, or Joyce? You know what's funny? Because most of the second and third generation are mixed. Like me and
No,
like
they're
many
not
other
actually.
people are mixed.
According to you, no,
Listen,
that's not
Let
true.
me know if I
listen to me. Listen to me. Like me, and I'm not a young boy, but most of the young people in Israel, I'm not talking about the ultra Orthodox, because they are married in the same court. What you're saying, but most of the Israeli, they are mixed. They don't know they are quarter Moroccan, quarter Egyptian, quarter German, and quarter all the Israelis. So what you're saying, it's absolutely true. I never say you are lying, but you true 50 years ago. It's totally changed.
No.
Today
See,
to
it would be great if it
be
was 50 years ago, but it's
Okay,
not.
guys. So I just did a quick Google search. Let me just show you the term I typed in to make this easy for everybody. I think this is important, because when people start making whenever you want to dispute them, I'm going to flip my camera around here so you can see the screen. So I typed in income disparity in Israel. So you come out, you can see the search results. There's a Jerusalem Post article. There's a JSTOR article, a Hebrew article. It goes right on down the line. So it talks about the inequality by ethnic or Jewish type. I don't know exactly how you describe it. You can search those links and you can see whether you believe that Old Jewish Cowboy is reporting data from 1970 or whether he's talking about the more recent history. And you can see if what Avi is saying is right, that there's been a big shift and that Old Jewish Cowboy is, quote, living in the past. So somebody look that up if you don't mind, and then just let us know in the comments what the numbers are, maybe by certain types of ethnicity, if you don't mind. I'll look at it too. Okay, so Avi, why do you feel so strongly that Old Jewish Cowboy is misrepresenting the information? Why would he do that?
Because he say he get the Palestinians narrative. So everything is when people let's talk about myself. Yeah, I talk about my belief. When of course I'm Israeli, I'm a Zionist, but I can know about about bad stuff in my government, in my extremist people, But in the other side, when you observe, the pro-Palestine, so everything, the other side is bad and this side is good, So when you make in Israel, so Israel are racist, Israel is this, Israel is this. It's so funny that there is a Muslim judge that put prime minister, a Palestinian judge in Israel. Let's say a Zionist judge in Iran put the Khamenei in jail. That does not sound makes sense, yeah. But in Israel, a Palestinian judge in the High Court of Israel put Israeli Prime Minister inside jail. And that's not a legend. That was true, because was talking about Israel as a racist, and there is Israeli Palestinian judge who put a prime minister inside jail, for corruption and some other stuff. And when you accept, and he's talking about apartheid, and he's talking about Israelis are apartheid. So you can say, when you put the Ethiopians, so they get the ejection about not to have breasts, so people can believe you because Israel is apartheid. So you can believe anything. But Israel is so open country. I just come back from Jaffa right now. I just get home like 10 minutes ago, and you see all the people, all the women covered from all over Palestinians, women walking with the children. It's when you think about apartheid, about different branch of studies, it's absolutely the Arab Israeli have lower income than Jewish Israeli. That's absolutely correct, because they just the villages of the Arab Israeli, usually they used to have like 7, 8, 9 children until 15 years ago, and this is the low income, because you cannot provide a good for now they have
You're making a lot of claims.
so the income also the Arab Israeli going very high. And if you go to Turkey, last sentence, last sentence I finish. If you go to Turkey, you see or Sofia or other country in Israeli go, you see so many, and Sinai to Egypt, so many Arab Israeli go to vacation. Go to vacation. Go to vacation.
Avi, come on, listen. You're covering Avi. You're covering way too much ground. Give me a chance here. Okay, this is a quick article in the Times of Israel. It says study finds huge wage gap between Ashkenazim and Mizraim. I guess that means the group of people who are from that particular background. So let's scroll down and see what it says. And again, I'm just my first time seeing this, so I'm just going with what this says. See who's right about this. It says, according to the latest Advent Center annual report dealing with equality and social justice in Israel, which was released early Wednesday, the average monthly income of urban Ashkenazi salaried workers in 2012, this is the date of this article, was 42% higher than the average wage among all salaried workers, while Mizrahi urban salaried workers' wages were just 9%. So it's 42% higher for Ashkenazis, but only 9% higher for Mizrahi urban salary, meaning people that work in professional jobs. Israeli Arab urban salaried workers trailed far behind both groups, earning 34% below the national average, which also factors workers in rural areas. Now that is very telling in terms of the different types of Jewish people, as well as the Arab non-Jewish citizens, which does indicate, in my opinion, unless the people are lazy or stupid that are Arab, that there is something going on in Israeli society, very similar to the United States, where there's a divide between one group and other groups. Now, can anybody make it in society? Yeah, if you figure out a way to navigate the maze and you know the right people and you play the game and you work hard, yeah, you can navigate. But it's the vast exception, and the numbers bear that out, right? Is that now, Avi? What about this? What about this? Do you disagree with?
I agree with you totally. I don't know the Times of Israel. It's usually all the Palestinians are quoting this paper, but what's because I never heard about it in Israel. But never mind. These figures are okay, because if you're talking in the 1970s, it's about 70% more.
Well, just hold on, just a second. A few minutes ago, Avi, maybe I'm just not hearing things right. You said that that old Jewish cowboy was like basically out of date, off his rocker. I just brought a report from the mid 2010s. And you're saying that it's okay now. Which one is it?
You say 12. What time is it? It was the research? You said 12, no?
Somebody says here in the comments that 2012 is old data. Check the 2021.
2010. You're talking about this is what exactly, Chief. This is exactly what I'm saying. If you're talking about 50 years ago, it was gap about 90%, and you were talking in numbers about 10 years ago. You know what's happened in the last 10 years? It's amazing. All the members of the parliament. all the members of the parliaments are now not Ashkenazi. Most of the ministers of Israel are not Ashkenazi. When they put people in the companies of belong to the government, they are not Ashkenazi. The high chief, the chief executive of the company of the government are not Ashkenazi, because the ministers are not Ashkenazi, most of them. So it's amazing that you give me 10 years ago, and you see it's exactly what's happening in America.
It wasn't done purposely.
Yeah,
Avi.
yeah.
It was the first article that I came across. I'm looking for another one.
So I agree with you. This is what I'm saying. The gap is going small and small because most of the young people are mixed. You don't even know. My boy, it's a quarter. Nobody know who is a Ashkenazi, who is Mizrahi right now. The children are mixed together. So what you're saying, Chip, it's absolutely right. This is a proof what I'm saying. What the old Jews say, it's good about the 50s. About 12, there's a small gap. You say about 30%?
Maybe
What do you
you
think?
keep repeating yourself.
Yeah, Avi, we don't need to keep saying it 3 times. It's okay. We get it. So the question is,
Okay,
if anybody knows an article that has 2021 or 2024 data, I can't find it right now quickly on YouTube or on Google, but if somebody can look it up. But I talked earlier what the numbers were 10 years ago. If they've shifted dramatically in 10 years that have narrowed the gap, that's a good thing. But remember, we talked about Ashkenazi, Mizrahi, and then, if I'm saying it wrong, I apologize, and then Arabs, who are the non-Jewish class of workers who, like you said, tend to do the more, blue collar type of stuff that we would call it here in the United States. Okay, I think I Am Palestinian has been dying to get into the mix. Please jump in.
I want to say a couple of things. It's typical when Avi comes, he keeps repeating himself like a broken record. I mean, I don't have any issue understanding his point, but you don't have to keep repeating yourself multiple times. The other thing is that he was making some claims before you throw him out about the, what was it? I just lost it. Chip, I lost it. I just had it lost it. Anyways, I'm going to come back. You can take old Jews instead of me.
Can I add something on? What I was hearing from this person is that basically, if they were Arabs, then they were.
Let me do it halfway, just to be fair. I want to make sure that James, who's next, is okay passing the mic. If it's okay with James, it's okay by me. I just want to ask him first out of courtesy. James, are you there? Okay, go ahead halfway, and then we'll see if James is ready when he's ready.
Sure. First of all, thank you so much, Chip, for having me. So what I heard from his talking point is that conclusively, this is what I'm concluding, that if they were Arabs, there is an income disparity. Okay, but now since they are not full Arabs, they are mixed, so there isn't any income disparity. So that's what I'm getting, basically, in a nutshell.
So you're saying there is no income now that in 2020?
I mean, this is what his claim is, right? Like, his last points were that since no one knows who is Arab, who's not. So since they are all mixed, so there isn't any income disparity. So prior to that, when they were Arabs and they were not mixed, there was an income disparity. This is what I got. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, he said it was 10 years ago. It was more wide. It's not as wide anymore. And he said there's less of a clarification as to who's what as far as their mix of ethnicities. He said that his child is like 4 different kinds of mixes or something to that extent. I'm guessing that's what he said. I don't know. This is something I don't know much about, so I'm just trying to learn as I look.
Me neither, to be honest with you. So I'll mute myself right now.
But I don't know why old Jewish cowboy would misrepresent the numbers. He sounded pretty specific, but again, I'm just trying to verify stuff as I always do. Okay, James, are you ready to jump in, or are you still sort of on pause there? All right, Federico, did you want to say anything, or are you still in pause mode?
I'm still listening. I got a lot to say, but I would like to conclude first.
Okay, now I'm going to bring back up Yaha. Who
Chip, just one question to you, Chip. Are you saying Sweden is a racist?
1 second. This is administrative. This is just normal housekeeping. I'm happy to have anybody come up on the live. I ask 2 things. 1, you be respectful to the other guests and the host. And 2, you don't use a lot of foul language because that can get the live taken down. So I don't want to have to say that more than once to somebody. So just please abide by the rules. They're really simple rules, and we're all fair here. No, Avi, you had a question. Avi, did you have a question?
Okay, yeah, I have a question to you, Chip. Are you saying Sweden is a racist country?
Okay.
Are you saying Sweden is a racist country?
No, am I saying Sweden is racist?
Are you thinking that
I didn't make
Sweden
any
is
such
a
statement
racist
like
country?
that, but I don't know. Are you trying to say that because there's
Because I know the gap between the Sweden and the people, the Muslim in Sweden, are very high. So Sweden is a racist country, of course. Yes.
well, I don't know exactly the relationships which what causes the gap, but it's certainly possible. I don't know. You're making a statement about it
So
that
so
I,
it's
Chip, I
the
can
Sweden
answer
are
that.
racist.
Chip, I can
So the
answer that.
Sweden are racist. Yes.
AB,
So the Sweden
I
are
grew up
racist.
in
Yes.
Scandinavia. Listen,
you're trying to force me to say something that I'm not sure of. So I
okay,
don't want
listen.
to.
I grew up in Scandinavia. No, the gap between the salary is not. The only thing is that sometimes there can be discrimination. That's a different thing. But the gap between it's not. They have union and they try to keep it like that. Scandinavians are standards of living, so that you can't come in. So the other thing I want to tell
I
you
understand.
before
So the white
we go
Scandinavian and the middle
let me
Scandinavian are
finish.
the
Now
same
I remember what
salaries.
I have
Yeah.
to say. Let me finish.
Okay.
Previously, you made allegation about the APAC, why Chippers keeps saying APAC, APAC, APAC. And I can tell you why. It is because we don't want a foreign adversary to elect and then promote our, our people, if people want to be, to go to election and stuff like that. APAC is promoting
APAC
those
is not
people.
foreign. APAC is not foreign. APAC is American.
APAC is a foreign adversary. Yes, it is.
No,
So
no,
for that
no.
reason,
It's
we don't
American.
have other entities in America. Chip, you want to jump in? We
You
don't
have
have.
the Qatar.
Just real quick, Avi, and real quick, I am. So APAC is a domestically registered lobbying entity, much to the chagrin of John Kennedy, who tried to prevent that from happening, which does not pay taxes and does not have to disclose its sources of funding, and it has a tremendously powerful influence over the political process in the United States. It does advocate for the interests of a foreign government, but it's a domestically registered lobbying entity. That's the split.
Navy, if we have any other entities with the same interest, we will oppose that. And APAC is the only entity that is doing it currently. So that's all what I wanted to say.
But I wanted to say that the demographics that he stated was totally false. It's 32% Ashkenazi, it's 45% Sephardim or Mizrahi, and it's 8% mixed, 12% Russian, and 3% Ethiopian. And this is from your own government, Avi. I only take these facts from your government, which only started now looking at demographics. So your big mixed thing, there's only 8% that actually call themselves mixed, which is amazing when you think that the Ashkenazi and the Sephardim have been together since the early 50s.
All true people from Israel telling you that there are a lot of mixed marriages. People are now marrying. Russians are marrying Ethiopians, Ethiopians are marrying Yemens, Yemens are marrying Ashkenazi. Everything is mixed now.
No, this
Don't
is not
bullshit
true.
us. Don't bullshit us. We know this.
You know, he telling us what's happening in our country. That's
Exactly.
I'm telling you
amazing.
what
So
your
the
own
guy left
government
Yeah,
says.
yeah,
Israel like 50 years ago
yeah.
now.
You know, in my
Yeah,
my
Yeah,
building,
government says.
in my building, in my building, 2 Ethiopian, 3 Russians families, everybody mixed together. You know, for you it's racism. It's amazing, but everything it's Jewish and Israeli, it's racist.
My
Never
children are
mind.
married to Ethiopians. What are you talking about? You're completely out of history facts.
Yeah, everything it's Israeli, it's racist. Yeah, yeah. You don't
use
understand. When
anecdotal
Sweden
stuff.
there is a gap.
yeah.
Regarding
When
regarding
This is the
Sweden, I
numbers from
can
your own
also
government.
I have relatives in Sweden, so there are immigrant
Why
areas.
don't you check your own government's what they say on? Why don't you check Israel's government and what they say is the demographics? Because what you're saying doesn't match with what they say, and I would
That's
think
not
that
what
they
they
have a
say. We
better
see
handle
what's
on it,
happening.
don't you? Because
we
what
are
they
we are
do
we are
is they send out a survey and they ask people. They said, which group do you belong to? Do you belong to Ashkenazi? Do you belong to Mizrahi, Sephardim? Do you belong to, are you mixed? Are you Russian? Are you Ethiopian? Yeah, they actually do this. And that's the numbers they came up with. Now, you want to argue with me? Don't argue with me. Argue with the Israeli government. Those are the
You're
numbers I
So what do
quoted.
you
blabbering
what do you
bullshit
want to
because
say?
my son is
What
Pulled
do
married
you
them
to
want
right
to
from,
say?
Ethiopian,
I
like
pulled them
many
right
others.
from Times of Israel. So, hey.
What is Times of Israel? I never heard about this paper. Nobody in
Okay.
Israel
Are you
heard about
familiar
this
with
paper.
Ynet?
Yeah, of course, Ynet. Yes. What
Okay,
do
so
Ynet
you're
have to say?
familiar with Ynet. Okay,
Doesn't matter.
Ynet
It's
is
Yeah.
free.
it's not a
Ynet is
criterion.
free.
It's not a
Times
parameter.
of
If you
Israel, you
take
got to pay for it.
Sweden, if you
So
take
Arju, I want to ask you a question. If the Sweden, the white people earn about two more time
I don't care
money
about
than
Sweden. I
than
got
the
a
Mediterranean. No,
stepdaughter
I
in
ask
Israel.
I
I don't
ask
give
you.
a flying
No,
frogs.
but I ask you a question. I ask
No,
you
I
a
don't
question.
care
If
about
it's
Sweden.
Sweden,
You talk to me about
never
I
Israel.
mind.
only care about
Okay,
America.
okay. So if the
I only
white
care about
people,
Israel.
if American white people earn more money two time than the color, so all the Americans are racist?
Oh, I like the way you used
Yes or
color.
no?
You might want to update you might want to update the way you refer to African Americans as African Americans, okay?
No, all colors. I talking about all colors.
Well,
All
then you say
colors,
African
not just African
Americans and
Americans.
Mexican Americans because
Okay,
you
so
can't really
If,
please
if
answer me.
white
So,
Americans
so
color.
America
You
is
earn
a
more
racist
money than
could
country.
also be
Indians,
saying Asians, and Asians are actually have a higher income than whites. Okay,
So the
so
white
you really
population in
can't
America
say.
have the
what
same.
about indigenous population of America? What about their income?
Indigenous live on reservations, very much simply the way that
From that
we
average white
absorbed their
American.
culture so we could throw them onto reservations the same way you're doing it with the Palestinians. You know, you got a lot there.
Bullshit us.
If
We
you
are
look at
speaking
if you
about
look at it, you'll
income.
see there's a lot there that's the same, especially
You're
with stealing
spreading
land.
lies.
We stole land from the Native Americans just like you steal it from the Palestinians today. You do a great job, by the way.
Or
You just
Jewish, or
declare
Jewish.
it's ours.
When there is
Just
going
We
to be.
asked you about income of average indigenous population in America.
It's actually very low. And the reason it's low,
So
and I'll give
America
you a
is
reason why it's
racist.
low. Yes, it is
Why
racist.
reason?
No, it is
Nobody
actually. You're
nobody
right.
care the
It is
reason.
racist.
Nobody care the reason. So
No,
America
no,
is
no.
racist, yeah?
It is racist.
What
No,
do you
you're
mean? No,
absolutely
no,
right.
no. Why you need
No,
a
no,
reason?
no, Avi, you're right. It's racist because honestly,
Okay, so
they are discriminated against.
Swedish also racist because the white
Who
people
cares?
earn too much.
Oh,
What
okay.
who
So
cares?
what you're trying to say
The
is
white
you're
people earn
racist,
more
and you're
money
trying to
than
show
the Mediterranean from the
Okay, so you're racist and you want
people
to show
in
The
Sweden.
simple fact
So
is that
Sweden is
also.
racist. Sweden is a racist country. The white people earn
Indians
more money,
always
so
have
it's
lower
racist.
I thought
income.
I already corrected you on that one.
No, they
No,
still
no, you didn't correct me on that
I
one. You
did
just tell
I
me
did
the
correct you on
welfare.
that
No,
one.
no.
I did correct you
You
on
tell
that
me
one.
the white people don't earn more money than the Mediterranean people in Sweden. Yes or no?
Honestly, I don't
Yes or
understand.
no? Yes or
Question.
no? Yes or no?
Yes or no? What?
The white people earn more money than the Mediterranean
No, that's not true.
people
That's not
in
true.
Sweden. Yes or
No,
no?
that's not
That's
true.
not
Absolutely
true.
true.
Can we
This is
please stop talking
absolutely
about Sweden?
Yeah. Plus, this is not about Sweden. Why you're diverting the attention?
Why?
Why are
Because
you diverting the attention?
because there are changing of income every places. In Israel is the only country that it's become slowly become
Yeah.
equal. In
Every
Europe,
time you guys give an example, you guys.
listen,
Every
in
time you guys
Europe,
give
the
an
white
example,
people
you guys say Israel
in
is the only
Europe, the
country.
white
Israel is the only
Avi,
country.
this
Israel is
live
the
is
only
this live
country.
is not called Avi Live for 2 hours. This is called a panel of 6 to 8 people. Okay, so try to be a little more judicious in your airtime and be more respectful of the other guests, please. Please.
I want to finish a few points in here, Chip. These
Yeah.
people are claiming that Israel is such a best place and they really obey they make their people happy, yet they have over 4 million people segregated, right? And then they still claim that they're treating them good. That's a bunch of balonies. That's all what I'm going to say.
Well, and all I would say is that the 2 million Israeli Arabs making half of what the average Israeli makes. If that doesn't show prejudice, I don't know what does. And by the way, 8 out of the 10 poorest villages in Israel are Arab. And it's the reason for that is that the funds which the government passes out doesn't go to them. Very few money goes to them. Their schools are ridiculous. But to be honest, their schools in Tiberias are also ridiculous. Their schools in Bat Yam are also ridiculous. Their schools in Ashkelon are ridiculous. The ones that aren't ridiculous are in the central Tel Aviv. Those schools are really good. And those happen to be all white. How does that work?
Can I please say something? I just find this discussion really funny. I'm originally Russian, but I grew up in America, but I also lived in Denmark, and Denmark has a very similar culture to Sweden, and you guys are all talking about like racism. I lived in 3 different countries, America, Russia, and Denmark, and I can tell all of you right now there's racism in all countries. Everywhere in the world there is racism. It's just how it is. And it doesn't mean just because one country has racism doesn't mean that you shouldn't be looking at your own country and wondering what issues you guys have. So, yeah, that's just what I want to say. There's racism everywhere. It just looks a little bit different.
Yeah, but that means that you look at your country, not at
Yeah.
another country.
But when you look at Israel and you say that all Jews are equal, that's just flat out wrong.
No, it's not wrong. It became more and more equal because.
Oh, I love that. It's becoming more and more equal. When's it
Yeah,
going
of
to get
course,
there?
like in any country, like in any country, you
So
know.
guys, they admit that it
Like
was
to take
not
the Russia.
right.
Alice came from Russia. Let's take this country. You know, in 1980s, all the rural population was slaves. They didn't have passports. So what are you talking about? Now they have passports, and thing changes.
I know. And the fact that you don't beat the Palestinians as they come across the border to work for you is really very nice of you. It really is.
I have one question.
And how about Mexicans, what came to America?
Okay, real quickly, guys, I just want to let you know that I have to take about a minute break. I'm going to the laundry room, so please be civil with one another and take turns and don't talk over top each other, okay? Is that all right?
My turn, so if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah, one at a time, though. Give each person
One
a
at a
minute.
time, one at a time. If you can make someone moderator, then they can control it if you want.
Yeah, Federico can do that. Federico's good at that. He has mod privileges.
Yeah, I'm here.
So the question that I have to this Russian dude, I don't understand why every time you come here, you have this thickest accent that I've ever heard, in Russian accent. I don't have any problem with it, but it's the thickest I've heard. Yet you use the Middle Eastern Muslim Arabic name. Why do you do that? The other day you had.
I'm Palestinian.
Let me finish. The other day you had Yasser Arafat's name. Is it because you want to be deceive? You want to deceive people and try to see if you can convince them, or is it because you're not very good at finding names?
No, I just want to show how ignorant Palestinian people are because they don't know their own hugest terrorists or leaders. I pick up only names of the biggest terrorists or leaders.
That's the most stupid answer I've heard, really.
It speaks
It was truly very dumb.
It speaks for the way he's
It's
raised.
the dumbest, most stupid answer I've ever heard. Everybody in this panel right now.
I agree that you're stupid.
I agree. That was the most dumbest one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, most of us
But
actually
guys,
are proud of
explain
who we
why.
are.
Guys, instead of just calling him dumb, explain why you think it's dumb. Like I think it's dumb because you just generalized, sir.
Yeah, I can explain.
I didn't say he was dumb.
Because he just said
We said the
all
answer is dumb, not
Palestinians-
he's.
Yeah, I
Palestinians-
subjectively say that his answer was dumb. Maybe you don't understand that. I say that's the most stupid, dumbest thing I've heard that as an answer.
Okay, then
Okay,
why?
I can explain you again. I took this Abu Ammar name. Only Federico knew I was in different panels. Non-Palestinian knew that Abu Ammar was Arafat. I took name of the biggest terrorist, which nobody knows who he is. So you're claiming that you are specialist on this. You don't know even the names of your biggest terrorists.
Use the TikTok language, buddy, before I drop you.
That was a right thing to say.
If you try to get attention and you try to, people, you want people to take you positive and you want people to take you serious. That's not the way. You're 180 degrees the other way around. Okay, I think you should start learning that. And plus, you refuse to tell us that you're Russian, but yet you have this thickest accent I've ever heard. I swear to God. I knew your accent.
A lot of Russians have Muslim names, actually. So maybe.
Hey, James, have you spoken yet? James. James? All right, I guess James is not here.
Ask all Jews to continue talking because I always enjoy his, you know, his narrative about, Israel.
Yeah,
Drew,
because he is completely 50 years outdated.
You can ask new Jewish. I'm new Jewish. You can ask me. He's the old Jewish.
Ask you
I'm
what?
here in Israel.
I just you keep saying that it's getting better. That the Jews, the Sephardim, the difference between the Sephardim and the Ashkenazi and the Russians, and it's getting better. Getting
It's
better
getting
doesn't
normal.
mean you have equality. It means you're trying to make it so that some people have equality.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the
you're
fact is,
absolutely right.
they don't have equality. As a matter of fact, your own government has admitted they don't have equality. 2 years ago,
You're
they tried
absolutely
to
right.
pass a law that gave equality to Jews. Okay, because one Jewish soldier saved a bunch of Israelis, so they tried to make it so they were going to give equality, and they were going to pass a law that gave Jews the same rights as Israelis. You know what? Couldn't even get to the Knesset. Now, why would they bother to pass a law that gives equal rights if they already had them? So your own country admits it.
What are you talking about? What are you talking
I'm
about?
talking
Can you
about
tell me
Don't
what you're
get
talking
so
about?
passionate. You can
Yeah.
get stroke, you know?
All Jewish. Can you tell me which law was talking
Yes,
about? I don't
there was
remember
a
the
law.
law. Yeah.
Actually, you can Google it, and it'll show
Yeah.
up.
Which one?
Yeah, seriously.
It's a
And
law.
it was about
It's
it
a
was
past
about
law.
giving.
It's
It
a
was
law
about
that is.
giving. I'm telling you, if you
Yeah.
be quiet, I'll
Yeah.
tell you.
there's one called the nation state law that was particularly egregious.
Well, the nation state
No,
law in
he don't talk about
2018
this. He's
was
talking about
something else.
something
No,
else.
this was actually in 2021, after the big thing that they had going on. They had riots in Israel with the Palestinians or the Israeli Arabs that are so happy they actually rioted. Well, there was a guy who actually saved some. He actually a Jewish soldier that actually saved some people, and he ended up being unalived himself. So the Knesset, they thought it would be, one of the ministers thought it'd be a good idea to pass a law, since the Jews serve in the military, since they have recognized Israel as their country, to give them equal rights. Okay? That was the idea, was to give Jews equal rights, the same rights as Israeli Jews. And they couldn't pass the frickin' law. Never even got before the Knesset. Couldn't even get it out of
Can you tell me what you're talking about, Chip? Chip, can you help me? All Jewish
I'm,
have a
I'm learning as we go too.
You can
Yeah,
Google the
he
darn
just
thing.
bullshit.
It's
He
really
just BS
simple.
now, and
Oh my goodness.
he's
You want oh, I
Why are
told
you
you, you can
saying?
simply Google
Why
it
are
and
you
it'll
saying
come
it's
up.
not true? What do you have? What's not true, Avi?
because he said one of the member of parliaments tried to get a law that didn't pass about equal right to the Jews. Come on, that's a serious. That's a
Yes,
yes.
no, it's true.
It didn't.
They had
It's the law didn't pass. Yeah, and about equal right to the Jews have equal rights. What kind of
they
law?
don't have equal
What?
rights. That's the whole reason. Why would they pass?
Give me
Why would they try
example.
to pass a law
Give me
with equal rights
example.
if they
All
didn't
Jews, give me
have it?
example. Give me
Oh,
example,
sure. I'll
please.
be
All
happy to
Jews.
give you an example.
Yeah,
Let's see.
yeah.
We can
Okay.
start with right of return, right? Jews can't bring a
The
relative to Israel.
Jews don't have
Okay?
right to
But hey,
return.
we'll
Avi,
start.
Avi,
How about
you
how about
you asked him,
building
Avi, you asked him to give you an example, and then you're interrupting him. So let him talk for a second, and then if you disagree, you can come back and tell him why you disagree.
Hey, how's this for a kick? Up in the Golan, right? You got Druzim up there, right? And the Israelis want to go ahead and build a whole bunch of windmills up there, destroying a lot of their farmland and their land that they use, right? And so the Druzim leader said, "Hey, this isn't right. You can't just take our land." And of course, Bibi went, "Forget that. I can take your land anytime I freaking want." And that's just one thing. Now, would he say that to a Jewish family, or would he say that to Jews? Of course not. But he can do that to Druzim because, hey, they're Druzim, right? They don't matter. The same way with building permits or getting building permits down in the Negev for the Bedouin. The Bedouin can't get even onto your electric grid. You can get onto your electric grid. In fact, they're opening up a whole bunch of settlements down in the Negev that are going to be hooked to the grid. But as far as the Bedouins, forget that. They're all illegal. Why are they illegal? They're illegal because they can't get building permits. They ask for them, but they never get them. And because they can't get them, they go ahead and they build anyway, in which case you now call them illegal settlements or illegal building, and you destroy them. This is a catch-22, which you guys know about, and it only goes with the Israeli non-Jews. Okay, you only do this with the Israeli non-Jews. The same way with the Jewish National Fund when they went down there to take land away from the Jews, from the Bedouin,
Can I
okay,
add
to
to that?
plant trees.
Yeah.
Chip, there is a big problem, Chip, there is a big problem now because all Jewish, he doesn't know what the difference between Druze in Golan Heights and the Druze in Israel, because the Druze in the Golan Heights don't have Israeli citizenship. They don't want. They have Syrian citizenship. They don't want Israel. So all guy, he just talking about something. I was thinking before he was
That's
Israeli.
not
So like this,
true.
he doesn't know
No,
the
no, can
the
I
One
Druze
say,
in
up
the Golan
north.
Heights.
I need
They
to
don't
say,
want Israeli citizenship. So he
Oh
talking
my
about
goodness.
equal rights to the people who don't want their rights.
I
The
want to
Druze in
back all
Israel.
groups up on this because I believe it was in 2013, and this is public knowledge. You guys should all look it up. But Ethiopian Jewish women in Israeli society were fed contraceptive medicine so they wouldn't get pregnant, and
There's
because they
another
didn't want
anti-Semitism
black
stuff.
Jewish people in Israel, and that's a
Yeah,
known
sure.
thing. So it is. You
Can
should
you
look it up.
please explain how is it anti-Semitic?
Yeah, I tell you,
This news.
I'm gonna tell you why it's anti-Semitic because this kind of unhuman the Israeli about they don't want, the most higher rate of birth in Israel is the Ethiopian, yeah, and to tell us that the Israeli government put injection to Ethiopian women, what happened in those times
You told me
because
this in
the
Israel. I
Ethiopian.
went to
So
Israel
so
and I
so
was
Sister, one
shocked
second.
let me
Let him
tell you what's
explain.
told me
happened.
this.
Let me explain to you what's happened. Also in the 50s, when the people come from a Mediterranean country or from not like Western country, and also in the same mistake they make also with the Ethiopian, they put them some medicine about because the food here and everything is not the same like they used to. So they give them medicine. It was trying medicine. It wasn't about birth at all. At all, nothing about it. And if I wrong, I gonna analyze myself. It's nonsense. It's one of the unhuman to put the Jewish people or the back in the mistake the Begin government who put the Ethiopian Jews to Israel. He sent the only people, the only country, the Western country that sent on airplane to bring African people to their own country and give them citizenship. Yeah, it's never happened. No, the European send airplane to Africa to bring black people or African people, and no, and the African came to the U.S. to be slaved. This is Israel, the only country who bring the Ethiopian Jews to Israel and give them citizenship, and then blame them to put them injection not to that's a totally anti-Semitic. It's like
Okay, Avi,
the
one
stuff
second.
that
So you
They
explain.
yeah.
can
So
do
you're
both
saying
things. They can bring them over and they can also
sister, one
be
second. So
racist.
are you saying that Ethiopians had the higher birth rate, right? And the news came out of
It was
Israel.
the Arab
Wait,
and now it's the
Avi, we
Ethiopian.
heard.
Yes,
Avi, we
yes,
heard.
yes, yes, yes,
You said
yes.
that they had the higher birth rate. Then after that, you said that the news which came out of Israel. Okay, and they
Sorry,
are the one they are
what
accusing
you call?
Israeli government for this. Are you saying Israeli news themselves is anti-Semitic, and we are just literally regurgitating it? We are literally reading you the very same news coming out of your own country, and we are becoming anti-Semitic. Is that what your claim is?
No, what I'm
That
claiming
is
now.
exactly
First
what
of
your
all, I'm
claim is.
very let me answer you. First of all, I'm very proud about everybody that in the Pro Party Live that quoting Israeli newspaper because we are the only democratic country, so everybody
Well, it's
quoting
not. It's
Israeli paper because you
please
can trust
hold
them.
on a second, Avi. For
Yeah,
you to keep saying
yeah,
that we are
I'm
the
very
only
proud.
We
This
are
is the
the
democratic
only
first.
country,
democracy.
listen,
Yeah,
Avi,
yeah, because you're all the
you
time
have
quoting Israeli research. So I'm very proud of this.
Every
That's
time
Avi,
good.
this
I
guy
like
is
it. I
saying
like it.
that,
guys, one
I
second.
could have been a
Avi,
millionaire by now.
When you say that you're the only democratic country, okay, please put this flex on the side. We are the
Okay.
reason we quote your own news is so you don't have to run away from it. You cannot run
Yeah,
away from
yeah.
it.
This is
So
my
listen,
second
hold on
answer.
a
So
second. Avi,
you
you
stop me.
just said that
You stop me
your
about
sister made the comment, and you said that's an anti-Semitic. She is quoting your own
I
news.
yeah.
So it's not a
I
hold on,
want to show.
Avi, please. The reason we quote your own news network, the reason we quote your own news is not because you're the only democratic country in the Middle East. Okay, the reason we quote it is because you cannot run away from it. So if we were to say that's a report investigated by the Al Jazeera or Middle East Eye or any other Arab or European, you would say, oh, that's anti-Semitic. So we are literally quoting your own news sources. So please take this
Which
thing
one? Which
that
one? Which
the
one?
one she just
Which
mentioned
one?
right now. The news came out of your own
No, I
country
didn't hear. Which one? Show me.
about the Ethiopian one.
Yeah, show
The
me.
news came out of your own country.
Show me, please.
Yes, I
Show
was
me
in
a
Israel.
Israeli newspaper. Yeah.
I was in
So,
Israel.
so what I want to tell you, so I just try to
She's
answer
going
you.
to
So
answer you,
I
Avi.
just
She's
fin-
going to answer you.
Yeah,
You
yeah, but
asked her a
I just
question.
want to finish two sentences to finish my answer. So why I'm saying the Ethiopian have the highest rate of births, because if they got this injection, yeah, it's never happened. You know, so how come they got this when they come to Israel? They got this injection, and they have officially by the statistic, you know, more than usually the Arab Israeli have
But
the highest, and the
Avi,
ultra Orthodox. The Ethiopian
yeah.
have the higher. So if they got the injection, so the injection didn't work. So what happened? It didn't
Okay.
work. The
But do
Israeli
you
scientists
understand?
didn't succeed.
Yeah, no, I understand. I can't tell you if that statistic is right or wrong because I haven't read it. Okay. So, but do you understand? And this is a conceptual thing. It's not about statistics and facts and who has a higher birth rate. What it's about is that there's racism everywhere. Everywhere you go in the
No,
world.
show me. Maybe I'm gonna which papers telling about
Guys,
So
can I?
the government injects the Ethiopian not to have birth. I want to know.
Okay, so
Maybe
real quick, this has to be mentioned just as a side, real quick. We've heard the argument about the G-side in Gaza, right? And somebody would say, oh, well, we must be the worst G-side perpetrators in the world because the population in Gaza has grown X, Y, and Z. Let me tell you why that's a fallacious argument. The population would have grown at a higher rate had you not unalived 30,000 or whatever the number was at the time of the argument. In this case, if the Ethiopian Jewish population has a thriving or higher birth rate, it doesn't necessarily mean that it would not be even higher had these things not have been done to some extent. Okay? In fairness, please continue.
that's not true. That's not true.
Hold on,
Scientism
Avi.
Thank
is
you,
not true
Chip.
what you're saying.
Hold on. Avi,
Can I
I just
please
gave
ask
you,
a
I just
question
gave you a
quickly?
reasonable argument to say
Sorry.
why what
No,
you're
but
saying may
this
not be
argument
right.
is not true statistic, because if a woman get injection not to have birth, so the birth is zero. So it's not true. It couldn't happen.
That would be if they got every single person injected, Avi, which obviously has not happened or would not happen. But if they do it to some extent, it should not be done at all, is the point. Okay? Move on, please.
And
Can I
Chip,
please
there's
ask
another
a
thing, which
question?
is that he said that this is anti-Semitic news and it is to dehumanize Jews. Okay, the news comes out of Israel. Okay, stick to that point. So please stop using and abusing anti-Semitism. Okay, for every single atrocity that you guys commit against your own people and towards the
So please show
Palestinians.
me.
And
Show
can I
me.
also
You
just
can
say,
show me.
guys, and also if you get contraceptive medicine, that just means that you're not pregnant for the time that you take that medicine. They also did sterilize people, but that's a different thing. So you can't say,
Can
oh,
you show me
Israel has a higher
Can you show
birth
me?
rate
Can you
because
be
it
in the
means
big
that
screen, Melissa, and show me?
those women can't get pregnant during that period. They will be able to get pregnant
Alisa,
later
can you
on in
get to the
life.
big screen and show me one of the Israeli paper? Yeah, please.
Can I
You
I
please
want
want
to
ask a
educate
question
myself.
quickly?
Why can't you do it? I don't understand. Why are you making me work for it? If you're
Because
interested,
Go to
because you
Haaretz.
say
Go to
Israeli,
Haaretz.
you
Listen,
say
Avi,
Israeli paper.
Avi, I will tell
Yeah,
you. Go to Haaretz.
yeah,
Is that Israeli
yeah,
newspaper?
yeah.
Okay, go to that one and Google it. Israel admits Ethiopian women were given birth control shots. Go ahead.
Guys, I just want to quickly ask a
And
question
that's the
to
Israeli that
all
you
Jewish.
also admitted. This is an Israeli source.
If you guys allow me just to quickly ask a question, it's very, very important. I think this subject is very, very important. We shouldn't be diverted, because this is a serious issue for the world. What's happening right now, and then rather than divert our topic in different subject, because look, what's happening now. My question to all Jewish and whoever here, just to sort of, if you could answer this question, that what's happening in number one, I'm going to say. What would you say to about this textbooks been created since kindergarten, that Jewish people that have to be sort of like they use the textbook to sort of for argument sake, and I've done sort of research and I saw it's true. Second thing is that what's happening around the world, the universities like in Americas, And this is a very serious issue that we cannot be in denial. I mean, majority of time we come across people are in denial, especially Zionists are in denial, and they will always compare and then openly trying to sort of avoid clear unjust happening in front of our eyes. I'm not Palestinian. I am actually for everybody, every single person in this world exists. I'm actually again unjust. That's simple as that. So my question is to the cowboy, that the question I put it forward. If you could sort of bring some light on that, please.
Well, I'm not sure what your question is. I mean, is it
Right.
why are there protests? Is that the issue?
No. What my question is this: that that topic is keep on getting diverted by the gentleman. So my question is this:
Thank you,
this is
Chip.
what I'm focusing right now, because the student in America and other countries, UK here, that trying to sort of protest, and they're getting labeled. They're with T group number one. Yeah. Second question is this: that we have actually we have information that majority people in that sect, that they have from kindergarten they have been taught, and they have this like a Bible that they actually use that for sort of divert us, even though front of our eyes and just happening, and they will come out all kind of schools to take us in a different direction. So is that true or not? That's it. Thank you very much.
Well, as far as the Israeli textbooks, I can't answer. And as far as the Palestinian textbooks, as far as I know, there's nothing in there. You don't need to teach a Palestinian not to like an Israeli after they bomb the hell out of you. I mean, you just don't need that. And secondly, as far as the ones who are protesting, there's a lot of Jewish people over here that are joining those protests. And hell, if I wasn't in my situation that I am now medically, I'd be there. Okay? Because honestly, I would be protesting against what Israel is doing. They're massacring people. And any way you slice it, that's wrong. And if I have a child and he's breaking into cars, I tell him, you don't get to break into cars. And it doesn't matter that he's Jewish. You just don't get to do that. And he can't blame it on his grandmother who was a Holocaust survivor. Okay? You just don't get to do it. It's wrong. And that's
It's
all.
wrong to grape, yeah? It's wrong to grape and to take children as hostages, yeah?
Why do you do that? You did
Yeah,
that
so
to
why
a 13-year-old boy in
your
prison.
friends
Abby,
taking little
we agree
children?
with you that it is wrong to grape.
Yeah,
It
or
is wrong
Jewish.
to
Why your
let the
friends?
kids listen, Abby.
Yeah,
We agree.
let me just ask you a question, all Jewish. I just want to ask all Jewish. Why your friends, the age group, taking 2 years
Oh,
old
my
babies,
friends.
as hostages?
Oh, no, actually, Avi, you're my
Yeah,
friend.
no, you saying that you're gonna demonstrate against Israel.
Abby,
You
we
didn't
agree
say
that.
nothing about the
I
age
lived
group
in
old, so
Israel.
they are your
You are
friend.
my friend, Avi. You didn't know that?
Abby,
Yeah, of
it
course.
is.
You didn't say
We
nothing
agree.
about the age
Israelis are
group.
my
You're not talking
friends.
about Israel, so they are
No,
your friends.
Israelis are my friends.
You never talk about the 2 years old babies, the red haired babies that they're now about negotiate about the releasing them. Why babies 2 years, 1 years old babies have to be Boko Haram and the age group under the jihadistic
How
movement
about you just simply
taking
stop
babies as the hostages?
penalizing
You never talk
5-year-olds
about it.
and they'll
Why?
give you back the
I'm
baby?
sorry, you're talking over him. How come our countries, my lives are hijacked by Zionists? Answer me that, please. How come you guys are hijacked my country? How is that? How is that
Yeah, I'm
possible?
gonna answer you. I'm gonna
Okay,
answer
go
you.
on.
In
I don't think you
48,
can.
there was a
guys.
UN.
Before he
There was a
before
UN
he
resolution.
diverts,
There was a UN resolution in 48, and they offered two-state solutions side by side. And 5 countries, including Haj Amin al-Husseini and the Arab, they don't call it Palestinians, but never mind, the Arab people, the local Arab, they try to.
You hijacked UK.
Never mind.
Hijacked
Never mind.
UK. Sorry, I'm talking about UK.
Okay,
I'm not talking about
five
Middle East.
countries.
You hijacked UK.
5 countries start a war, so this is why you don't have until now any country.
Can I just say something before
Why are
we
you
move on?
diverting? Why are you diverting? I'm talking about Euro. I'm talking about UK, mate. I'm talking about UK. I'm not talking about Middle East. Why you hijacked my life, my livelihood? Why? Answer me that.
But the UK
Can you?
hijacking you. I didn't. the UA is hijacking children like the age group? I don't understand.
No, because where
No,
you're talking,
IDF does.
you have hijacked my
No,
livelihood.
the IDF hijacked 2 years old babies, 1 year old
And I'm not
babies.
gonna accept
Just
it. I'm sorry.
you know, the only people in the world is Boko Haram and the age group. They hijacking children. This is the professional
Actually,
of them.
you're
So
absolutely
No,
wrong.
and
Though.
Israel as well does that.
Thousands of
no,
I'm talking
children,
about
2
UK. I'm
years old,
talking about
3 years old,
UK. You
4 years
hijacked
old.
Guys, can I
UK.
say something?
My political
Just
political
one
system.
second.
You
Just
know,
a
just
recent
jihadistic Islamic. They're doing this
Avi,
jihadistic
Avi,
Islamic
Guys, can I say
movement.
something, please?
Avi, just a
Sorry.
recent, just allow me this,
Chip, what
just
are
a
you cooking?
recent report done by BBC said that the 2 kids that were killed in West Bank last month, it is a war crime. So maybe they don't hijack babies, although they do, and they put them in prison with no justification, but they kill them. It does not matter if they hijack
You're talking
them,
about
they
the people
kill
who
them.
get stabbing
And
soldiers. You know that they're
no, they
sending
were not
6 years old
stabbing.
and
It's a
15 is
crime.
stabbing
It's
soldiers.
a war crime. They were not stabbing. It's on video. They were playing in the West Bank and they were shot in the back of their head.
Okay, so let's say that they are bad
Review
soldiers.
this.
Let's say this, the IDF is bad. So why the age
Avi,
group
just
is
allow me
taking?
one thing. Just allow me one thing, please,
Okay,
because you were
okay.
talking about Ethiopian woman, and I don't know about articles, but there are peer-reviewed journals that publish articles, and that's when they publish peer-reviewed. I think you know what peer-reviewed articles in journals. There is one called Israel, Promised Land for Jews as long as they are not black. You can go check it out and see all the references in this peer-reviewed article where it says
Okay.
that they inject women with medicine or whatever to
So
stop them
Lubna, I have a
from.
question to you. I have a question to you. If you are white, yeah. So why Menachem Begin
It's not
is
me who
sending?
wrote the article.
Okay,
It's not,
no, I'm talking about you, right? So why
yeah.
Menachem Begin, who's sending like a big operation, you know, like a lot of airplanes to Ethiopian and take all the black Jewish back to Israel, you know, to the homeland of the Jewish people.
Because
So why
they
let
need
me just finish.
numbers.
Why
I know the answer.
why if somebody is racist, why he send airplane to bring their own people, our
Hey, I can
beloved
answer that
Ethiopian
if you
woman?
want, Avi.
Look, Avi. I live now in Canada and I work with refugees. And I worked
Yes.
with so many Eritrean refugees who came and Ethiopian who came from Israel. And I can tell
So
you
the
lots of
yeah.
stories. Just
So the
let me.
Canada government
Can,
send airplanes
can I
to
can I
Ethiopia to
speak?
bring
Avi, let her
Eritrean
Can I
finish.
speak?
people?
Avi, let
Can I
her
speak?
finish talking. Let her
I
finish.
can tell you so many stories, but I'm not gonna get into the personal stories because you will not be convinced anyway. What I'm saying, they brought, of course they brought, and they brought them through Sudan. We know all the story how they transfer one of the
Yeah,
biggest
that's true.
resorts to bring black people from Jewish from
Yeah.
Eritrea to
No,
Israel
from
through
Ethiopia
Sudan.
to Sudan. From Ethiopia to Sudan and to
We
Israel.
know
Yes.
we know all the stories, and they
Yes.
wanted numbers. They wanted workers, but they don't allow them, and they don't have the same rights. That's a well-known fact. Whether you want to admit it or not, it's fine.
I don't have to
It's
admit
up
it.
to you.
I can. If you open the camera next to me is my Ethiopian friend. He's sitting next to me and hearing this is laughing, but never mind. So
Look,
that's
dear, I can bring you 10 stories. It's not a
listen.
competition at the end of the day. It's
But
admitting
Lubna,
the fact. When I
Lubna,
tell
you're
you,
right.
when I tell you
You're
Israel
right.
is
You know what
killing,
you're right. You know
no,
what you're
when
right.
I tell you, Avi, wait, when I tell you Israel are killing kids, you tell me no, they are terrorists. This is your argument
Unalive.
with no
Say
basis
unalive.
whatsoever.
Lubna,
But when I
I
bring
promise you,
but when I
Lubna,
bring
I
you
promise
a
you. Okay.
resource where it tells you that it's a war crime, at least the 2 kids that who were killed last month in the West Bank, you tell me they are terrorists. So you have an
So
excuse for all the war crimes.
so what about the graping of the UN committee that say there are about many graping by the age group? So you just saying you believe the UN, yeah? So you
Many
believe
way.
this report, yeah?
I don't
Understood.
work with the UN. I said I worked with
You said there is a
refugees in
reporting,
Canada.
there is a reporting UN report. So you believe the UN report about the graping of the Israeli woman, yeah?
Please don't run away from the question, please. I know you guys do that.
She,
You guys
you,
don't run away.
you believe
Mr.
about the
Chip, I just want
graping,
to
yeah?
ask you a
Look,
Real
question
quick,
to you,
guys.
please, if you
So
don't mind.
there's one thing about deflection that gets very frustrating. So obviously, we're talking about the economic breakdown of in Israel by either ethnicity of Jewish people or other members of society. You talked about Sweden. Now she's talking about something. You're going to the UN report about something else. Can we
no,
just
she
move
was
on to
talking about
something?
unaliving
Hold
babies.
on,
No,
hold on,
no.
Avi, listen.
No.
It's perfectly fair to go into the additional statement of something, but don't deviate. If somebody asks you a direct question, don't just go to something else to try. Well, what about this? Yeah, we can talk about the Congo. We can talk about Russia, Ukraine, but we're talking about Israel, Palestine. Those deflections don't really help the conversations.
Chip, I was asking about the babies. It was kidnapped. She was telling you are unaliving babies. So I didn't deflect. She deflect. She was saying you are the guy. The answer of her, instead of saying, the age group is doing this because of this, she say, oh, you're doing this the same. So I'm not deflecting. The other side deflecting.
Mr. Chip, I just want to ask you a question.
Abby, are you
Real
saying the
quick.
United Nations actually has
I'm going to bring in Ronnie
regarding
next, and then we'll go to half. Just 1 second, guys. I only do this because we have 2 people in the queue that have been waiting for quite a while. Is there anybody on the panel that doesn't want to stay?
Yeah,
or
I'm
doesn't-
going to sleep. Have a good night. Have a good night, and go and live Israel. Thank you very much for everybody.
Okay, Avi, thanks for being here. See you again soon, I'm sure. Okay, yeah, that's a little exasperating sometimes, but I'm glad Avi came. He's very loquacious in his points. Okay, I think it was going to be half awake, or Ronnie, then half awake. Go ahead, please.
Right, I just want to ask you a question. Just want to sort of a bit more information on that. You don't have to answer if you think it's not the right topic. About juvenile prison systematically unaliving children under 12 in
Shmizrael?
Yeah. Like a juvenile prison, they have that children under 12 being kidnapped and then systematically, basically unaliving, which it's been in a report recently in the news, not mainstream media, but.
So obviously, there's been some.
You don't have to answer.
There's been some of that going on for decades, where people who protest or young kids who are outdoors, or I even saw a terrible video with a father standing with his young child, and somebody from the Israeli military just right in his head. In fact, the video got taken down until I completely covered up that part of the video when I put it on TikTok. So yeah, these are troubling things, but I don't. Listen, a lot of crazy things happen in Israeli custody. I think nobody, including people like Avi, would believe the horror show that it is to be in Israeli prison. They think that people are punished in the IDF when they shoot somebody, and they think when people go to prison, they're taken good care of versus these crazy Arabs who are horrible. It's the exact opposite is true. The Israeli prison system is horrific for people who are of Arab descent. I will promise you that. Yeah, it's horrible. All these things are atrocities. This is what needs to change. The Israeli system is cruel and brutal towards non-Jews. It just is. That's the way it is. It's just, I wish I could say otherwise.
How do we fight this narrative? How do we fight this narrative that, like, when we have a person like him and divert the topic, we're comparing something else, keep on, this is what they've been doing all the time, and I've been observing that. So how do we bring to people's awareness that we need to sort of keep that in mind, that this is what the tactic is, really, because it's quite frustrating.
Yeah, somebody told me it's divert, distract, and project. So they want to first divert the contract to something else, then get you distracted by making personal attacks. And if that doesn't work, then they deflect and blame you for something that they, in fact, are doing. And I think that's exactly what happens in these conversations, unfortunately.
Chris, can I give you my experience with them on the past 6 hours? I didn't sleep since yesterday. Argue in their lives. Can I share with them?
Yeah, go ahead. Please share your experience.
Chip, sorry to interrupt, Adam. Chip, I'm gonna get off. I'll come back later on. I'm gonna go pray.
Okay,
And
thanks
thank
for
you so much for having me. I don't want to hold the spot over here. That's
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice rest of your night until we see you again. Okay, go ahead, please, Adam.
All right. You know, you and I, we were in one of their lives earlier, like I believe, like a couple of hours ago. And the thing is, what you do is you try to have a normal conversation and show different views with them. Basically, if you are not agreeing of what they're saying, they're gonna accuse you that you're lying and you're just spreading propaganda, and they will start getting mad at you, trying to make you feel bad, and they try to make you like, oh my god, how dare you saying that. The only thing is that makes me happy in those of me make them mad politely, and never like curse or like never get mad at them, but just give them proofs and send them links of true stories and facts. And now they start telling me like, oh, we don't believe in UN anymore. So if you don't believe in UN anymore, so why you are a member of UN? And they don't answer you. You know what I mean? When you start telling them like facts, there's like, oh, this is lie. One of their argue, tell me one name of IDF killing somebody in purpose. And no, we need names. We don't need stories. And I told them about Mohammed Adora, he's being killed, and somebody jumped on me and was like, oh, this is all a Bollywood editing films. That was live, So you don't want to believe anything that they do wrong. And this is my experience with them. You are getting, I'll say, you're losing your energy of trying to invest there, trying to talk about one story or make them understand it. But they are not. They are paid people to just spread propaganda, and you guys are losing your energy just talking to them. That's my experience.
Adam, do you know Hasbara?
Patiently.
Okay, just last thing, I will go down.
I know. What does that mean? Lie until I believe, is it lie until you believe it, something like that?
Lie until everybody believes you.
There is a public policy about how to communicate their lies, and it's a well-known. It's not like something like you can read on it on the internet. So this is their strategy. What we have to do is not to quit. We have to bring the truth to the people, like what's happening now. That's it.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
True,
Chef,
but
I'm gonna go
like
down.
five people jump at you at the first time, at the same time. So you don't know who should you answer. You know what I mean? That's kind of like, I saw Chris, for example. I follow Chris just because like Chris, he makes sense in his talk when he's talking to them. And I like all of his answers, but they jumped at him, these are like, oh, how dare you, and stuff like that. So I want to kind of like, I followed Chris so I can back him up when he needed me. So that's why I followed you, to be honest. But
I've been called way
Lucien.
worse, but my name's Chip, just so you know.
I'm sorry, Chip. I apologize. I called you Chip.
So, Chip, it's strange that every time when you have an argument, they bring whataboutism and then they talk about that. And that's what you try to tell them, that, listen, if you want that, then we can do that, but that's not. And that he also brought up the United Nations resolution for this and that. But they forget to also mention that United Nations, I don't exactly remember, it's 46 or 47 or 48 prohibited actually conquest. So anything that Israel is doing, actually, it's prohibited by international community, including United Nations. And Alyssa, I want to make a comment about what you said. Yes, I have experienced racism. I grew up 20 years in Scandinavia. But there's one thing that I did not experience. That is that equality when it comes to inside companies. They have a strict restriction when it comes to that, and they try to, because also they have a lot of unions. When you go there and start working, they try to match it is what do you call it, as much as they can in terms of everybody else. So
I agree. Yeah, the same thing in Denmark. I think the Scandinavian countries in general are way better at having self-awareness in terms
yeah,
of these
but he
things.
was bringing all those whataboutism nonsense that look at I don't know, Sweden and stuff like that. It's just bunch of balonies. So
Yeah. Do you speak Swedish? Pratar du svenska?
jag pratar svenska, jag talar dansk, så
Oh my
that's
god, du talar dansk. Okay, cool.
ja, jag bor
Right.
många år i Danmark. Jag har bott många år i Danmark.
I got one more question to Cowboy and Chip. Chip, I'm very sure you're well informed. I just want to ask you this question. I'm actually very concerned, very concerned, actually, and worried that I'm actually thinking. I just want you guys' input in this. I'm really thinking that if they actually get hold of whole of Palestine and Gaza and everything, and God forbid if they actually manage to sort of do what they intended to do, then I'm actually seeing this is to escalate further in the future. It's going to escalate further, and then we're going to be coming to doomsday. That's what I'm really seeing happening. Can you sort of like make a comment on that? Like both of you, what do you think? My views, my concern, is that valid concern or?
No, I personally don't think it's a valid concern. I don't worry about World War III. Honestly, I first off, the people that are making these decisions are so incompetent. I can't imagine that they would actually end up there. As much as Israel would like others to bomb Iran, it's not going to happen. And and that's really the only flashpoint that could really start off a civil war, or a world war. You have the Russians tying in with the Iranians, but of course, I don't think the Russians are that crazy about the Iranians to begin with, and I don't think that they would risk World War III based off of the Iranians. I just don't see that. What do you think, Chip?
I agree.
Yeah, so I don't think we need to worry about that. What we do need to worry about is the unaliving of another 100,000 Palestinians. That we do need to worry about.
So in regards to that, old Jewish, I think the head of SNCC is not in Israel. The head of SNCC is here in America. If we can make America not to support Israel anymore, I think there will be a negotiation. There will be a settlement. I think the problem is inside of this country, not inside that country. Don't you agree?
I agree, and I think that will happen. I do believe that these protests, and I do believe that the fact that the American public, right now, the last survey I saw was 55 to 60% of the American public believes that what Israel's doing is wrong, and that the war should end, that there should be a ceasefire. And by the way, another statistic that's being thrown out a lot is that 95% of all Jews are Zionists. Okay, I want to make that quite clear. That's just not true.
I agree with
That's
you.
just
I
flat
agree
out
with you.
not true. And they did a sampling of a bunch of yeshiva boys. You go into an ultra orthodox synagogue and you say, "Hey, how many of you are Zionists?" And you're going to get 95%.
But all Jewish. At the beginning, the idea of Zionist was a pure understanding that they wanted to be somewhere peaceful and nobody would bother them. As much as you believed in that too at that time, right?
Right. The idea was a safe place for Jews, and obviously they didn't. They screwed that up big time. Okay. So, in fact, I had this argument with my stepdaughter last night. She was saying that she was seeing all the protests, and they're making it over in Israel like it's a huge deal that it's unsafe for Jews here. And I said, no. You see, I don't have a safe room. You have a safe room. And she says, well, I don't have a safe room. And she's right, because she's in the Tiberias, which she doesn't really need one up in Tiberias, because it's in the middle of frickin' nowhere. But everybody else does have a safe room. Everybody in Tel Aviv has a safe room or a bomb shelter that they have to know where it is and where to go to. And again, I don't. So I am very safe. And I explained that to her, that they made such a big deal. But then when I first went over there, I went over there in the early 90s, and there was the Rodney King going on in LA. And I had just gotten a job in LA, and I was flying to LA, and they thought that LA was just incredibly dangerous. And this is after they were actually experiencing the Intifada 1. So they can turn anything, they want to make anything as a big deal so that it doesn't look, it minimizes their stuff. Okay? So the protests are dangerous to Jews, and therefore Jews really have to come to America, have to go to Israel because Israel is a safe place. And at the
Yeah.
same,
Oh, can I just add to that? I think what you're touching upon is that fear that Zionism creates, because I think what's similar between Zionism and Schmatzianism, if I can, I have to use code words, right? But what they both do is they instill fear in people, that you have to fear a certain group of people. Either you fear the Jews or you feel, the Palestinians, and that fear breeds resentment amongst people. And that's how all this breeds and like grows. And another thing about Zionism, it was about having a safe state for Jewish people, and it became more popular in the 30s in Germany because more Jewish people started becoming more scared of living there because of the rhetoric there. But what Zionism also wanted was they didn't want to keep kosher and they didn't want to observe Shabbat. And I just find that interesting that that's a part of Zionism where they're like, yeah, we don't really want to do the hard stuff of Judaism, but we want our own country and we want our own safe space.
well, the idea that you got to understand that for many Jews in Israel, and I'm just saying this about Israeli Jews, they see Judaism and Israeli as synonymous. They really see no difference between the two.
Yeah,
So when
that's
they're talking, and
yeah.
see, the problem is when they talk to the world about Jews, the world doesn't know that. The world thinks that when they're saying Jews, and what they're really saying is Israelis. And in many cases now, there are times when they want to throw us all, lump us all together, that we all support each other and all this kind of stuff, but we know that's bullshit because we've been breaking off. And by the way, when it comes to moving to Israel, just look at their demographics that they move, who moved to Israel. Okay? If it is such a great place to move to, how come the only people who move there are people in dire straits? I mean, seriously. The Russians came to America and to Israel, and half of them moved back, or they found some place in Europe or America. There was 2 million who showed up in the 90s in Israel. 1 million of them left.
So guys, I just want to say this. I mean, it's not a fearmonger, it's not fear-mongering, but I really truly believe, and we know what's going on right now, because IPAC is control of the Europe. Simple is that. They are control over Europe. So now, just listening to you guys, and I've been thinking about it. So only hope is right now. Only hope we have. A student only can hold up for so long, right? Because they're already under pressure. Only where American people wake up and then support them. I think that's the only way to come out of this mess. Otherwise, we are really doomed. I really truly believe it's not by scaremongering, because that's what's happening. This is the reality. This is the reality. They have hold of the Europe.
But you didn't see the protests.
In order for you,
for a long time, years.
Cowboy, yeah. In order for you to free the world from Zionism, is the dismantle of the Israeli entity.
Yeah, but how?
How that
American
is coming?
people. Only American people can do that.
No, that is coming.
It's only American people can do that. They need to stand up.
That is coming through. I mean, the American people can do it, but it would take time. But
There's nobody else can do it. There's nobody else can do it. I'm sorry, cutting you. I'm so sorry, but there's nobody else can do it at the moment.
That's okay. There is the Arch of Resistance in the Middle East. I think they're doing pretty good job.
I don't think so.
I mean,
I really don't
that's
think so.
that's your opinion. I can
Sure.
understand one
Sure,
side.
I accept that.
Yeah, I see it differently, and if I follow the sequence of events, starting, I would say the whole collapse of the Zionist entity started in 1982 in Lebanon, and that is where Israel stopped. Actually, 73 was a kind of a defeat with the bonus, but 1982 is the actual crumbling of the Zionist entity. since 73 to 82 to 96 to 2000 to 2006. And up until today, they have not won a war. They can
I'm
lie to their people. They say we're winning. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, just like I have to keep on saying that because I think we need to realize, all of us need to realize, it's not about 1800, 1900. Really, it's not about that. It's about present, what's happening
No,
right
no.
now. We need to focus on present,
Exactly.
what's happening right now. So I think only few
What's
countries have the ability to stop this. Only few, handfuls. There's no Arab countries that have the power. Only Russia, China, America. This is three countries does have
UK as
ability.
well. UK has a
Sorry?
lot
these
of power
country,
UK, yes,
these
UK. Of course.
country,
Well,
the
UK
only
is
power,
under IPAC, so I don't actually
the,
say UK. That's
the
the reason I
only,
don't say UK.
yeah, the only option these country have is to give up on Israel. They will never
They need a sanction.
dismantle it. No,
You know,
I think from my point of view, I think the Israel entity is about to collapse. It's many different signs, many different.
no,
I mean,
In what way?
everybody,
I
and
don't think so.
militarily first. I don't know where you're from and if you are how familiar
Wow.
you are with the area. Uh, But I know for a fact that the defeat started in 1982 when they were kicked out of Lebanon, and in 2000 where not the complete liberation, because we still have a couple of villages in Lebanon that are occupied, and military wise, usually Israel has the buffer zone in any country
Yeah,
that
Ibn
takes the
Kalb.
war to. Usually
Ibn
Israel used to bring wars to other countries. Now the war is in the entity. The second point, Israel had always buffer zone in other countries. Now the buffer zone is in the Palestinian occupied territories. The military, the Israeli military is exhausted. The Western pockets are exhausted, and that is part of the game. Like you don't have to
I
wage a major war. Uh, you can disagree with me. I know. I
I
don't. It's just a
I am
point of view.
sorry.
It's just yeah.
I'm sorry. I think we failed to realize something. I'm sorry to sort of like come in like this. I think we all of us have failed to realize that everything you mentioned, I think nothing made a difference. Only thing made a difference is the aid workers and the student. That's the only thing made a difference. Nothing else made a difference, my
Not
friends.
really. They
Look,
know they shifted. The public
we can
opinion
talk
didn't
about
shift.
strategy. Sorry,
Yeah,
we
no,
can
no.
talk about
But
strategy, this and that. Strategy is just a strategy. It's a political system that we are fall for, and we just follow those
do you think the
narratives.
strategy is working? Yes or no? That's the
No,
question. Is that
strategy. The strategy. Look, we are too. Like I think what you just described. They're too weak. They're too weak to do anything. There's nothing going to work. Only thing will work. American people right now, it will make a difference. Only thing made a difference all this time. Listen, we need to sort of focus on this and realize, rather than getting trapped in their narrative, that way they want us to sort of think. Only thing made a difference is student made a difference. The only one made a difference, and the aid worker made a difference. That's why you see. That's why
do you think
Ethiopia
so?
changes.
Do you think so?
Of course, I
Do you think
do.
so?
Yes.
So all that
Yeah.
all the public opinion didn't shift until
Look,
the aid workers.
look, you and me, public, are nothing. We are just nobody. We need to
No,
understand that we are
see,
nobody.
this is the you're wrong. I
Anyway,
am someone, and I
of course,
have
I
a
am
voice,
somebody, but
and
we are under
yeah.
influence. We are under influence. We need to sort of clear our mind, understanding, and
I believe
we can feel like that much as
we
we are
are.
in our homes. We are in our homes. We can think like this, no problem. Like I'm something. Yes, I'm something. I'm like I work in a
I
medical
can give
field.
you
I'm a
facts.
paramedic. So as I said,
I can give you. I can give you facts. I can give you proofs. I can give
It's not
you
about facts. It's about what's happening in front of your eyes. I'm not here to argue. I'm just saying my point of view. Your point of view, fine. I hear your point of view, but I'm trying to sort of like say that After
But
all those times,
my
what made the
point,
difference?
my,
We need to sort of give the
my
credit
point
to
of
the student,
yes.
and the people actually done some hard work. Not me and you didn't do nothing. The aid workers put their lives. They put their lives in
Absolutely.
a line.
And
So
Bushner did his part too. He analyzed himself. I'm not discrediting all of that, but my point of view is backed by the facts on the ground.
Chip, I'm
Okay.
jumping off. I had more questions from Old Jewish. He's a good guy. I'll talk to you
I
guys
think he's
later.
not here. He
I
left
know.
for a second.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for being here.
Sure, thank you.
So yeah, my point of view is backed by facts and reality, where the weakness of the whole Western world is showing up, starting from Yemen
can
to
we ask
Iraq.
Chip about what we talked about, his view, so we get independent from
Absolutely,
us? That
absolutely. He's eating
what we
right now.
talked
You're
about.
gonna
Chip, can you just,
let him finish his food. If you guys wanna do something, tap the live, share the live, like Chip work. He does a lot of good job. He keeps the story up and running. He's doing consuming a lot of
but
his time on these lives. So if you guys like, just tap his on his plate, whatever he's eating, tap on the plate.
you know, I think Iran could have made it different, but Iran doesn't want to make a difference. The reason that Iran don't want to make a difference, because Iran in a position they don't want to put they don't want to sort of put themselves forward and then be in a situation. So they're like playing safe. They're playing safe. So what I'm trying to say to you again is this: that no country, Middle East country, anywhere
Fuck
made
you.
any
Shut the
difference.
fuck up.
Will make any
Fuck
difference.
you. You're a
There
fucking
you go.
bitch.
There
You're
you
a
go. You
fucking
don't have to
bitch.
use
Shut
the
up.
language like that.
Stop talking. Fuck you.
Wow, that's inappropriate. Sorry
Who
about
was
that.
that?
I don't know. So they came up. I wasn't sure,
Yeah.
but they're gone now, so that's important. Okay, please continue.
I don't know what I said wrong that I
No,
get
no,
to
no, no.
react.
That you get these Zionists a lot. They don't like your arguments, so they start cussing you out. But that is something. Get used to it. If you're
I
on
know that's
TikTok,
fine. That's fine. But we don't know if
yeah.
it's Zionist or
No,
somebody
no.
else. We don't
He
know.
sounded like one because they're the only one that do that. They're the
No,
only
no,
one.
no, 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 no.
Yeah,
We can't.
believe
We
me.
cannot. We cannot
Oh,
say that without knowing.
I'm
This is
telling you. I'm telling you,
no, no,
man.
no.
I've been on TikTok a lot. I know how it
I'm
is.
sorry. I don't operate like that. I
That's
don't
okay.
operate like that.
That's
Our
okay.
voice.
That's okay. That's okay. It's fine. So anyway, yeah. You said Iran wouldn't put themselves in the front.
No, no. I didn't say that. I said Iran could have made a difference, but they're playing safe because they don't want to put themselves in the front. They're playing safe.
Yeah.
You know. So that's what I'm
And
saying. I'm not
do
saying
they?
that.
I mean, do they have to? I don't know.
Well, this is not up to me to say should they. I think like if something unjust and if you have the ability, then you should try your best. That's what I would say. So I'm not in their government. I'm not in their official
Don't you think?
government.
Don't you think they're doing enough by supporting all these resistance group, supplying them with all they need so they can get their job done on their own?
I think they
Like
could have done more.
they did the same with the Lebanese resistance. They supplied them with everything, and they told them, "Yeah, free your own country. Here you go. Whatever
You
you
know
need,
what?
take it."
Do you know what? I would come back. I would actually move away from everything that we're talking about, even Iran. I think I look at it, I'll be wasting my breath talking about them. I would actually support and I would give much credit to the student and aid workers. I think they're the only people made a difference and made the world move.
But what made these
Shake.
students?
They made the world shake.
What
And
made?
they're under a lot of attack as well. A lot of attack.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, they're doing their part too. But what
Isn't
made
it?
what made them stand up is the Palestinian issue. So
It's
the
not
whole
about no,
focus. It is that's what woken them up. That's what woke everyone up. That's what woke you
no,
up. That's what woke me up.
no. We
No,
shouldn't. I say we shouldn't think like that because they are doing it for humanity. All right, it's not for Palestinian. It's not. Yes, of course, it's for Palestinian, but we shouldn't say it where you said it. I would say the reason they stood up for justice, they stood up for humanity. That's why they stood up, right? It's not just like, yes, this is happening, but the way you're coming across, I mean, Uh, you can say it. You can say the way you said it, but I would actually put it that way in more respectable way for them. That
Let me say this, guys. I think that's semantics. I think the important thing to notice is, yeah, they care about humanity, but what prompted them to, the outrage that prompted them to take action on behalf of humanity was their identification with the misery, suffering, and death they've been seeing coming across social media so relentlessly for so long that has sparked the anger. Hopefully, that will carry over into empathy for other things and lead to some substantive change, although we're seeing a pretty repressive crackdown, which is not unexpected. Is that fair? Unfair? Anybody?
that is very fair. I totally agree with you, 100%, 110%. I cannot. Yeah, very satisfied with what you said. That's what I actually feel myself. That is actually waken people, waken lot, waken them as well to make a change. But what I'm saying is, fight is not over yet because it's still people are a lot under attack and everything, and it's still like a long way to go. And they're gonna need a lot of support as well. We need American people to come out and support them. They're the American people, so they shouldn't actually leave them on their own. That's what I'm trying to say. If you look at what's happening right now, even government bodies that instructed the police force and the guard and everybody, and the way they're getting tortured, and all the arrests been made, and everything happening, it's just like beyond our imagination. In 2024, we're gonna see this kind of narrative from the government openly displaying to the world, that saying that human right, all those government bodies, all those government agencies that's supposed to protect freedoms of speech and right and everything, getting violated front of the world.
Ronnie, what do you think? What you said, Americans should be more involved. Can you be more specific as to what you would suggest to people to whatever you think?
I mean, what I'm trying to say is, American people need to sort of wake up and then start sort of speak out. Majority of people need to come out and speak out, say no, we're not going to accept it no more. That's it. We need to get this IPAC off our government, and we need to basically get rid of this kind of political system that the America have. I have a video actually in my site, and some university profile, they made a video and they actually explained that how to combat this problem and how to go about behind the system, and then bring out some. There's a way to bring out a change, and people need to sort of understand that concept that can actually bring a huge change. Change is going to be for people, but the power goes to the people. The total power goes to the people. If people start sort of following the instruction, that instruction is a professional instruction. I have never heard any instructions given in the details that how to sort of fix a political system right now that America, UK, anywhere have. And if people actually get awareness of that setup, that how to sort of combat the problems, even like lobbying, everything will be eradicated. That if anybody get funding from some lobbyists, then they can get prosecuted. So people need to be awareness, and then people need to come out and then drop the baggage and say, no, that's it. We cannot actually let this go any longer and leave it for our next generation and get, basically we get slaved again, like, maybe I use the wrong word, but, enslaved by the political system.
Yeah, I would argue that we're already well on our way to that. It's happening like the frog in the water, and people, like you said, I don't think not that they're stupid. It's just that they don't see it. It's like they're living in the same old person's house, as I like to say, and it just smells the same. They don't know it's any different until they get on the porch, which is waking up to the media control and the other forces you're referring to. The problem is that we're caught in this left-right divide. People believe that we have a legitimate two-party democracy or republic, and that if you just get the right people in, that things can change. But we know from history, I mentioned Barack Obama, he talked about all sorts of change that was going to happen. And of course, what happened? Got worse. Bailed out the banks, started droning people to death, deported more people than any president, didn't uphold his promise to women's rights. Blah, blah, blah. It's the same old thing. They support corporate masters, the national security state, high net worth donors, and interest groups. That's it. That's where all the money and power is. And that has to change because the people that come in and out of the actual system doesn't matter if the system is broken.
Because if you look at UK, what's happening right now is I work actually in a healthcare setup. And then we got vulnerable people, disabilities, vulnerable people that are actually getting attacked by our government, like trying to take away a lot of rights. And that's going to put a lot of strain in the healthcare. That's going to put a lot of mental health issues. We already have a lot of mental health issues at the moment, and then they can actually fund billions of pounds on supporting genocide, thing like that. But they would actually take away from the people who's like bottom of the society is struggling, everyday struggling. You got homeless people that saying that if you find homeless people, they can get arrested, thing like that. I mean, it's just.
Is it okay? I want to hear what Adam has to say, or Elisa, real quickly. They've had a chance to speak in quite a bit, and then Roland too.
Sorry, go on.
Is that okay? I just want to share the mic a little bit around the room. I'm welcome to come back to you.
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Roland, did you want to say anything, or Adam, or Alyssa?
No, I don't have anything that I can add. Actually, you guys are doing perfectly. I just need to drop off. I want to say thank you guys for having me here and giving me a mic. Chip, you're doing great. So thank you very much and have a good night.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, this is going to end soon, by the way, because it's been going for quite some time, and we're sort of dwindling down to the tail end. I'm interested in hearing more of this conversation, though. So for those of you who are enjoying it, I'd like to have the guests that are on the panel right now come back to the next live because I'm enjoying the conversation quite a bit.
Yeah, he wanted to get your opinion about the power structure of the state of Israel right now. When you want eating, he's like, let's get Chip's opinion. Because I was telling him, militarily Israel is falling down, and he doesn't agree with my opinion. So
yeah, well, I think they have a bifurcated military. So Scott Ritter and other analysts look at it. Their air power is unmistakably good, right? You can't question that. They have very solid air force, and they tend to rely on that very heavily. But when it comes to ground forces, that's a little bit different. I think that, especially with their troops that serve sort of part-time, that go through their 2 years of mandatory service, these are not career soldiers, right? In America, to be a staff sergeant, you have to serve for 4 to 5 years in the military, which means you've trained ad nauseum. I went through the officer basic tank school. It was 4.5 months of just nonstop training, shoot, move, communicate, learn how to fix the tank, learn everything about it, blah, blah, blah. And you actually did all the roles. Now, when you're the commander, you don't do any of that. You just sit and tell people what to do, but you had to learn everything from the ground up. And then you train for several years at minimum. And some of the non-commissioned officers have been in the Army for 18 years when they're in senior leadership positions. That's a much different person than somebody who has, let's say, 18 months of reserve duty service that gets called up to be a part of this conflict. I mean, you just have somebody that's wholly unprepared for the level of combat. It's not their fault. It just takes time and effort and training to become proficient as unit cohesion and maneuver and fire. And they're going into one of the most difficult environments on the planet. You have Hezbollah to the north, you have Hamas to the south, you have the Houthis in the Yemen Peninsula, and you have Iran. They have a lot of adversaries, and they can't, and of course, with Egypt, that could pop in a second if the leadership shifts. So we don't know what's going to happen there. But it's a very repressive regime. These are the things that are in play. I don't think Israel does very well in terms of ground incursion. You have to have ground forces to take and hold territory, and they just don't have the capabilities to do it in a large scale. Now, what they have been able to do is to secure the north part of Gaza and then destroy it. They've destroyed everything in the north of Gaza. It looks like a moonscape. It's absolutely horrific. And much of that was not done by aerial bombardment. A lot of it was done after the fact by demolition, which is pretty disgusting if you think about it. In fact, 24 Israeli soldiers lost their lives trying to rig a structure that was going to be brought down, and it came down upon them, sort of like a karmic circumstance. But Israel has decided that it's going to maintain a permanent presence in Gaza, and that the H group, under no circumstances, can maintain a political presence in the region. I don't know what form it's going to take, but we have to do one thing at a time. This issue has to be adjudicated first, and as long as it doesn't spill over into a broader conflict probably through Lebanon, I think it's going to be a very difficult next 8 to 10 months. I think it's going to be a slow but steady attempt to eradicate the H group, and maybe even the forced expelling of the population by putting pressure on adjacent nation states or others globally to put U.S. aid contingent to accepting Palestinian refugees. It's pretty bad.
So if things escalate to a regional war with the Arch of Resistance, what are the chances that
In
Israel
about
will
6.5
stand?
miles, keep right.
I didn't hear the last word in the guidance system.
Yeah, I said if it expands to a regional war with the Arch of Resistance, how much Israel chance they have to be able to fight it? Although even if the Americans and all the NATO get involved, remember we have the Yemenis controlling the sea, so no warships are coming in. The missiles that they have, they reach all the American bases in the region. So that bases would be a sitting ducks. We cannot deny the efficiency of the weapons of these Arch of Resistance have been, from smart missiles to a homemade Yasin 105 that takes out $300 cost RPG that takes down $26 million Merkava.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get to that point. I really think that cooler heads, I think the Americans are not going to allow the Israelis to expand the war because they know very well they'll get drawn into it and they don't want to. So I think that they will probably continue to put the pressure in the West Bank and on Gaza as they've been able to get away with for forever. And there's going to be a slow but steady effort to squeeze the life out of the Israeli regime like was done with South Africa. I don't know if it's going to succeed because in this case you have the U.S. trying to stand in the way and prop up the Israelis, where that was not the case in South Africa. So I think what it's going to be, and I hate to say this, I think it's going to be more slow but steady dispossession of the Palestinian territories like it has been. I think this chapter will slow. I think there's going to be a lot of pressure not to go in whole scale and slaughter Rafah. But I think there's going to be a permanent administrative presence, and part of the land in Gaza is going to be administratively controlled by Israel for the indefinite future. I don't like it, but I think that's what's going to happen.
But the H group, the negotiation with the Israeli, they are demanding that Israel withdraw all its troops from Gaza. If not, there is no deal.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to happen. Not under the current government. They are not going to negotiate the presence out of the region with their military. They're going to stay and occupy it like it does in the West Bank.
Well, looking at the Israeli history, they always end up obeying the resistance demands. That happens in Lebanon. That happened in prior wars with the Israeli and the H group. They did what they did but they never achieved none of their goals. And I don't think, because now the Yemeni today, they declared to enter phase 4. And phase 4 is any ship that is tied to Israel, even in the Mediterranean Sea, is a legit target. So now you have the Red Sea, the Indian Ocean, the Red Sea, and the Mediterranean Sea blockaded on the Israeli, and at the same time the American and so-called coalition is not effective against the Yemenis. And the Yemeni said that if Israel tries to go against Gaza, they will start phase 5, which is any ship that has any ties to Israel, that it's been there or going there, or so basically they're gonna block the whole ocean on any international trading, and that includes oil, that includes goods, that includes anything that the Western world profits from. And now you have to weigh. We're talking about international, global money, but at the same time, we're looking at it that the Yemenis are making the threat, and none of the Western power is in a position to stop them from doing so.
Well, I don't believe they're going to move to that phase because I do believe that the Western powers would mobilize something, somehow, some way to deter that level of blocking of the shipping lane. Not so much because it's that critical to the current effort, but to set the example so that no one thinks of doing it again.
I mean, so far it showed ineffective. Anything that the United States and the Western countries did to stop the Houthis, it was ineffective. It didn't work, and instead of decreasing their attacks, are increasing, and they're widening it. So, in my point of view, that
in 2 miles,
looking at it, you would say, what is going to stop them? If they weren't able to stop them, the British, the Americans, and all the them. And remember, Yemen is coming out of 11 years of Saudi and Western coalition war on Yemen.
Yeah.
So they have nothing to lose, and I don't think any extra.
Yeah, I'm curious to learn more about the specifics, but I would say this: I don't think the U.S. and the British have taken their navy and thrown the kitchen sink yet at this particular region. And if and when they did, I think it would be a different situation. I think at this point, it hasn't been that disruptive.
I mean, I am pretty aware of the Yemenis military, like their military tactics, and especially, they are fully backed by Iran. So if the Lebanese resistance were able to shoot down Israeli warships, and the Yemeni has proven it so, and the stats of the whole worldwide conflict, in a military point of view, it's the best time to take what you want from that specific country at this time, because you may not have another chance. Like, let's say they get to a ceasefire and everything stops right now. In 5-6 years, you would not have the opportunity to take whatever you know how negotiation works and pushing buttons, how it works. So, if they're not able to achieve whatever they want to achieve today, they will never going to be able to achieve
use
it
the
anyway.
right lane to keep right.
Well, we can agree to disagree on that. I don't think that the West has thrown their full, they haven't projected the full amount of their power yet to the region. If they decided they could concentrate on aircraft carrier group, they could concentrate a lot of battleships, and they could really bring down a living hell on Sana'a, and it would not be a fun experience. Now, will it completely stop them? I don't know. But if they put that full naval power in that region, no one could actually stop them from it. It's not. They have much more naval power than Iran does times 10.
I have a different view.
But they don't have the ground. They don't have the ground power that the Yemenis, the Iraqis, the Lebanese, the Palestinians have on the ground, and we're not talking.
They won't need it for the purpose.
Exactly, but the Archer resistance. I'm not trying to disagree with anybody. I'm just trying to. The Archer resistance have the necessary equipment for these navals. So if you're gonna stand in the ocean and start booming other countries, they're not incapable to reach back at you. And we have seen with the we have with the drones. Now we have with the drones. I mean, you could fire 5,000-6,000 drones at once, and tell me these naval ships how many they're gonna bring down of them.
But I think though, think this through for a
Use
second.
the left
So let's
two lanes to keep
let's
left.
say, for example, that the U.S. decided to commit, let's say, 15% of its naval force to this effort, and the British did the same, and they start getting they're losing ships. What do you think they would do next? So
They're gonna
nuke.
they have
a lot more tools in the toolbox that they can use to make life miserable for all of Yemen, including a full-scale attack by NATO, which would be something they could not require.
Yeah, we're not talking only Yemenis, because today it's not only Yemenis. Don't forget you have the Iraqis, you have the Lebanese, and they clearly stated it that if it goes wide, it's going to be wide, which includes Iran. So I'm talking about the statements that they make. Like
I
based
mean,
on
can
the
I just
statements and the credibility that they had in their statements.
What do you think, Ronnie? What do you think about it?
Can I just quickly say, because my view is on, I'm going to come back, same thing again. This is a proxy war. We are not looking, I mean, we are not looking at a bigger picture right now. Because what Chip said, we need to concentrate what he's saying. Because if you look at America and UK, it's a superpower. They have a technology. They look. The Israel is backed by America, IPAC. As I'm gonna keep on saying that, it's not like American people. IPAC is backing it up, and we see the effect in Europe. So what I'm trying to explain here, that my observation is this: that they are actually they are like shield from the behind, not actually coming out properly. So this, I'm actually more like, if I say it like this, I'm more concerned. Everything you're saying, that all those countries, this is just a proxy war they're allowing to happen. We need to understand this. They're just allowing this to happen. This is just a small match. A small match. It's not international match. It's a local match going on. So they're just like watching it from the back, thinking let it happen, let it go like this, and at the same time we do what we need to do. We are not really looking at the bigger picture. There is no power in Middle East anywhere. Even all come together with against UK or against America. They have no chance. As Chip said, they can make life hell. They can bring a misery within a minute. Not nuke or nothing like that. But they have other technologies that we can use. So what happening right now, those regions, this is a proxy war they're letting it happen. So we're not looking at bigger picture. We're just thinking like, strategy. This is a strategy, it's a small level strategy. It's not a big level strategy. This is the ground level strategy they're playing. Even you say troop, they don't even want to send a troop in Gaza. If you really think about it, they don't really want to send a troop, because if they wanted to send a troop, there's other ways they could have done that. The people are supporting that they could have done that. The reason they're not doing it, look, they have the air power. They're the air power. The Israel have air power. If they want, they can actually wipe out, demolish everything in Gaza within a minute.
Use the right lane
So,
to take exit 4
so
X onto
we need
Florida's
to
turn.
really understand, not be sort of like thinking that like getting excited, say the Houthis and this and that. They don't have that technology. The technology, the weapon they have, this is very small level, very small level. This is nowhere match with the superpower countries that have the technology that they have. There's some of the technology we haven't even seen. We most people got demonstration recently from Russia. Some of the technology they have. So we just match that technology with Europe, like America and England. So what we're talking about, this is just a proxy war. So we should move away from that.
I will advise
Keep right
you.
onto
I will
State Road
advise you to
817
go
toward
listen
Northwest
to Scott
27th
Ritter on YouTube. Watch his videos. You would. He gives more of a broader cast on the military situation. But all this power and all these superpower and
At the
all
next
these
light, turn left.
technologies, why is it they're not able to put an end to the attacks on Israel, like from, let's say, from South Lebanon? They have sent multiple convoys to Lebanon to ask the H group in Lebanon to stop attacking Israel. And their answer was, go stop the war in Gaza and come back talk to us. So how do you put this proxy in that place where just a small militia in a country like Lebanon is telling the major power of the world, the strongest
At the
country on
light,
earth,
use the left 3 lanes to turn
it's
onto
telling
South
them that,
University Drive.
don't even talk to me. I'm not gonna stop what I'm doing, and I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing until you say you do what I'm telling you to do, is to stop the Israeli from committing these war crimes in Palestine.
Sorry for cutting you off. I think I already answered your question. I think what you're just saying, you're saying the same thing, repeating same thing again. Because I said to you that we think maybe you're right in your place, but we think this is what's happening is a proxy war. They're allowing this to happen. They're allowing this to happen because if
Why
they
would they
want
allow
to.
it? Why
The,
would
the
they
reason
allow
is,
it?
well, then you need to sort of go a little bit, we need to do a little bit more research to understand why they're doing it. There's a,
I've done a lot. I've done a lot of research, buddy, on this,
okay,
especially on
okay,
this topic. Yeah.
but from our understanding, that what I'm trying to say is that they are actually allowing this proxy war to happen. As I said to you, this is happening in lower level. This is like a match, like a local match, football match, local, not international level. It's a local match happening. So they are watching it from the back. They are shield from the behind for Israel. So this is happening from the back. Do you think that if America wants and UK wants or any other superpower like Europe wants, France, that Houthi can carry on? No, they have within a day they can eliminate Houthis within hours.
I
The
think
reason
there's
it's happening, they're
hesitation.
allowing this to happen.
Go ahead, Rolling.
I think there's hesitation
Yeah, so
there.
this is what I'm saying.
They're not exactly sure. They're not exactly sure of what kind of missiles the H groups have. The two bigger H groups have. One was already tested in the north with Russia, and they saw its capabilities. And I think there's a stalemate right now, and the weight. I believe, this is just my opinion and intuition, that the big weight is waiting for the American elections, because everybody's kind of holding their, sitting on their hands. They saw what happened between Israel and Iran, and how that was de-escalated, probably by the higher
In about 1
powers
mile,
telling
turn
everybody
left.
just to calm down. And so right now, it's just kind of a waiting game. And the fact is that we see a manufactured humanitarian crisis with people starving, and Israel is saying it's letting in aid, but it's like strangling someone and then loosening the grip a little bit, and then bragging to everyone that you loosen the grip a little bit. But meanwhile, they're still taking out like 6 to a dozen people a day just with random strikes here and there,
Thank you very much.
their ground forces are entirely too cowardly to go in and do what needs to be done to get rid of H group in central and all throughout Gaza. They can't stand toe to toe with H group.
Rolling, are you familiar with the 2006 war in Lebanon?
I'm being educated on it by every TikTok that I listen to.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I'm
So
not
I'm
super
gonna give
familiar
you
with it
I'm gonna
yet.
give you one event that happened in 2006 war, and you would understand the capability of these resistance group. In 2006, the Israeli have
At the
a
light,
warship
turn
that is
left onto
called
Miramar
Sa'ir.
Boulevard.
Sa'ir warship, and that is during the 2006 war. These are the most technological advanced warship that Israel has. And
Can
in
you
2006
spell,
war,
Federico?
Sa-
Could you spell that, because I want to look it up?
Use the
Sa'ir.
left lane to make a U-turn.
Sa'ir, I don't know how you write it in.
Do you know if it was a frigate or a destroyer, or where?
It's a destroyer.
Okay, so it's relatively
Okay.
large.
Okay, so the leader of the Lebanese resistance,
Make a U-turn.
he was given a speech on live TV during the war. Within it lasted 33 days, that war, and during that war he was giving a speech on live TV, and he mentioned quote like this: in the Mediterranean Sea across from Beirut, there is an Israeli warship that is bombing our cities. Look at it, it's burning and it's sinking. And when everybody looked that way, the missiles that they fired
At the
hit
light,
that
turn
warship
right onto
and made
Miramar
it
Boulevard.
sink.
Wow.
So this is just a fraction
That
of
was
we're talking about
2006.
2006. Now we are in 2024, and they said it. Even the Israeli themselves, they
In
said
about
it
1
that the
mile, turn
power
left
of the
onto
H
Glenwood
group of
Avenue.
Lebanon has multiplied by 100.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
We
I
can.
think there's hesitation. I mean,
No, it's not
I
a
served.
hesitation. What I believe in Lebanon is very complicated. Like if in Lebanon we have a big Zionist lobby, and for each group to go full scale is risking a civil war in Lebanon, because the people that are supporting the Zionist lobby, they will stand up and pick up arms. But what I see right now, from my point of view, is the exhaustion of the Israeli army, and the only thing the Israeli army had is their pride of their military,
Yeah.
and now they lost that.
Yeah,
And
and they're
for
a pariah. They're a pariah in the world today too.
Yeah.
Do you know
So
my answer to your question is? My answer to your question, my observation is this. I mean, obviously, this is my observation that everything you just explained. I think this everything explained to my view. I would totally disagree. The reason everything happening, look, only reason that everything is Lebanon and this and that 2006 and this happened. Look, that America or West is only thing they cannot maneuver like so openly because of two countries that stopping them between it that they need to think about. Those words you're talking about is also proxy war. Look, you got Russia, you got China. Russia is one of the powerful nation in this world, and Russia is already positioned themselves that saying that don't come into, or they have certain
red line.
ultimatum they gave. So we like you're talking about the war in the middle that's happening. It's a proxy. I think it's a proxy war that you're talking about that happened. If you look at the worship that Israel have is actually given by America is more than American and British have. You know,
it's
so
ineffective. It's not effective. It's not.
no,
It's
no, no,
not.
no, no,
It's
no.
not getting the job done.
What
All
what
the, all the
class
technology,
what class
and
of
all the
worship is it,
weapon.
Ronnie?
Huh?
What class of worship does Israel have?
If you just search on Google, you'll find out yourself. Like they
Because I
have.
was in the Navy. I'm familiar with the
Right.
classes.
So if you search, I mean, I just saw it in the news yesterday. It's a brand new information. It's a up to date information just come
Is it
out
an early
a
bird?
couple of days ago. So if you just look, I would say that it's most up to date technology that even America, even England don't have, even UK don't have. So let me put it that way. So okay, if England cannot match the worship they have, then it says something, right? So this is how the description been given, and then they have like 5 times more ship that given the funding given by America, even like 100 billion now are being said that it's going to allocate to Israel, right?
Ronnie, you have to. Despite that, I have not seen any effective countermeasures that can take down a hypersonic
I mean,
missile.
plus if you listen to the Israeli reports and all that, they have a laser beam, something that should knock down all these drones and all that stuff. Where is that stuff?
Turn left onto Buttonwood Avenue.
Right. So
You know
my
what I'm
question
saying?
is this. My question is this to you, right? That we can be talking about strategy about 2006 and then they have this kind of missile and that kind of missile, right?
I'm not talking about 2006, brother.
Right.
I'm
So,
very
no,
informed. I am
sorry. So
well
I'm not being.
aware. I
Okay, fine.
watch yeah, I
Can I
watch
just
very
finish if you don't
closely.
mind?
I
My
listen
main
to
point.
military people. Yeah.
Right. Can I just finish the main point? So
Go ahead, go
while
ahead.
while we're talking about this, right? What's happening now is my main worry and concern is this: that I hope it doesn't happen here. In Rafah right now, it's already attack started. Already attack started like the last few days ago. So if we attack already started, but we're gonna talk about this, and we're gonna go on talk about this, say like strategy. Same time, the game will be done and over with,
I mean, what do you
and
mean the
then
game is going to be
strategy is
done?
gonna be in their places.
Speaking of game is over, that's a great time to stop tonight. 'Cause this my guys. But
The
I want to
destination
thank
is on
everybody
your
for being
left,
here. I really
2801
enjoyed
Buttonwood Avenue.
this conversation's a good one. I think Federico knows more about it
Yeah.
than I do. I want to do some more research.
Yeah, I tell I can't. I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't see the name. Ronnie, you should watch some Scott Ritter. You should watch some of these military people uh,
Yeah.
in the talk, because they know they have, like, Scott Ritter. He's a Marine intelligence officer, and he's a former inspector for the United Nations in Iraq. And when he speaks, he's got no beef in it. He says stuff the way he sees it, and the way he sees it is completely different from the average citizens here. I've lived it, so I know. I've seen the progress, and I've seen the back and forth and all of that. And
Right.
my belief, Israel is on the edge of collapsing. Maybe I'm wrong. A lot of people hope that I'm right, and I hope I'm right. You know, but
They're cornered rat right now.
Yeah, but only reason they're cornered, for nothing else. The only reason they're cornered right now, because of people, because of some of the people, like student and aid
Yeah,
workers, things
I
like
think
blah blah blah.
I think it's from all directions, Ronnie. It's
All direction,
it's
okay, fair enough.
diplomatic,
All direction for people.
diplomatic, social,
Yes, of
militarily,
course. Sorry,
everything.
it's my wrong. You're right. You're 100% right. I missed out because I didn't actually go into details. I just want to say two names. That's why I said it, just student. Yes, from all direction. You're right. That's the only thing made it different. So what you said to follow. I mean, at the moment in where I'm in life, I don't think this is necessary for me to follow. I think what I follow is where the countries are moving. And who is moving those countries, like the superpower countries? Who is moving those countries? I think that's most important than looking at some army officials, like head of army officials, like another country, their strategy. I don't think that's important. Sorry.
Gotta
Believe
call
it
it
or
night,
not,
guys. I gotta call it a night right there. That's gotta be
last
the
statement. Last statement. This war has been in the making for the past 50 years, and I don't know if you you know what it's been in the making for 50 years. A lot of people in the Middle East were waiting for this war for a long time, and it's finally here. So how is it? And they clearly stated this is a war of points. Who scores more points? And over here, we see more points on the resistance, where, you know, Israel has declared some goals, military goals that have not achieved none of them. That they said they're going to eradicate Hamas, and now yet they're sitting on the table negotiating with them. So it's not, you know, the casualties, civil casualty. That's the narrative of Israel. Any war that Israel has waged in the Middle East, the only victim of that war would have been always and only civilians.
All right, there we go. That's the last word. Thank you very much, guys. I do go live here and there. I'm not sure. I don't have an exact schedule, but I'm going to create one in the coming weeks. So I'm going to be only doing less lives, but at very specific times, because I have other things I have to put at priority, unfortunately.
Yep.
But I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you, Federico.
Thank you, Chip. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chip. Thank you
Good
so
night.
much, mate.
This is being recorded, though, so if you missed any of it, it'll be up on the internet probably in another hour. YouTube and Rumble, the links in my bio. Okay?
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you very
everybody.
much. Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you, everyone.